Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
It's so fucking weird to be sitting here, bro.
Is it?
So strange. I feel like I've been like a video game observer, and now I'm like in the video game.
Are we on? Yeah. Well, you kind of are. I mean, it's weird. It's weird for me. You know?
Yeah, bro. Well, thank you for being like the #1 promoter of my YouTube channel over the past couple weeks, bro.
My pleasure. It's great stuff, man. I watch it all the time. You're really good. You got great shows,
that,
man.
I appreciate that.
And I get good guests from your show. Like, there's a couple people that have been on your show that I've had on my show.
Yeah. Chris Dunn was the first dude, I think. And then you recently had Mary Bowden. There's been a few others.
Yeah. Christopher Dunn, man, that was a wild one. And now that they found these structures underneath the pyramid, it's kind of validating a lot of the things these people are saying. You know, there's a lot of controversy about what those structures are and what it means and how accurate the readings are. But they do know that those satellite images were able to show very accurately this one tomb that was 50 feet underground. And it showed the dimensions of this one tomb. So I don't know what the capabilities are, if it really can decipher what's under 2 kilometers of, you know, whatever is underneath Giza. But there's something going on, for sure.
Yeah, I had a dude on my show a couple weeks ago who was explaining how that was a part of some YouTube channel that put something together in Italy, I think it was. And the people that were involved with it were promoting some sort of technology that had something to do with penetrating the ground, some like different kind of LiDAR or something like this.
It's called, what is it called? Something tomography?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Jimmy, see what it's called. But these guys just did another explanation of it, like another deep dive where they did like this presentation and showed it. It's very convincing. Like there's a lot of people that are 100% on board. I mean, it remains to be seen. It has to be vetted. But according to, you know, some people that I trust that really understand the technology, they said there's absolutely something there. You know, whether or not the problem is they made those 3D detailed images of what it looked like sort of an artist's rendition. And you looked at those, and it's got like the coils and the spirals, and like, yeah,
It looks a little too much.
I don't know what that is. But you could see there are coils around those columns, but what are they? Are they stairs? Is it like a coil that generates like an energy coil, like something that conducts electricity or carries electricity? Like, what is it?
It's a solid state electron harvester.
Is that what they say?
That's what Chris Dunn says.
Oh,
I don't know.
Have you talked to him about what's underneath?
Yeah, he thinks that it was. He thinks that the whole thing, his new book, which is called The Tesla Connection, basically explains that it's a. He thinks that there was like a device in the subterranean chamber, like a hammer that hammered the Earth, and then the plane, the Giza Plateau, is active, seismically active area. And when it hammers the Earth, it creates mini earthquakes. You're familiar with this, right?
Right.
And it vibrates
all
of the limestone.
All the limestone, and it's got like this hammer, this effect, like dum, dum, dum. And it creates some sort of a vibration in the granite and the limestone.
Yeah.
Okay. To overcome this, authors analyzed micro movements within the pyramid, typically induced by background seismic waves, to achieve high-resolution, full 3D tomographic images of its interior, and subsurface. The approach rendered the pyramid transparent, allowing for the reconstruction of internal objects and the discovery of previously unseen structures. So if it's got if it works and shows the actual internal structure of the pyramid accurately, and it can accurately depict that one, the one, was it a temple or what was it that was? I feel like it was a temple that was 50 feet underground. It had the exact interior dimensions of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably something to it, and we're gonna find out eventually, hopefully.
You think?
I don't know, man. These guys, like guys like Zawi Hawass and these gatekeepers of this information, they do not want any groundbreaking new discovery to come out. They really don't. Especially something like that. If you really find out there's giant columns underneath the pyramid, and that there's these structures that go down 2 kilometers into the ground, like, all bets are off then. Like, try explaining that away for people that live 2,500 BC. Like, that's kind of kooky.
Yeah, I mean, the mystery of the pyramids and moving those blocks and building that fucking thing that long ago is crazy on one hand, but then on the other hand, those fucking granite vases,
Oh yeah,
that are so precise within like the deviation of a human hair.
yeah. This is a 3D print of one of them that Christopher Dunn gave me.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. They measured these on light scanners at like a huge aerospace corporation somewhere. And they found out like it's so symmetrical. You couldn't make this unless you had a CNC machine.
Right,
today.
and then how would you make the handles?
Right, exactly, because it's a part of it.
Right, it's not like you can even turn it on a lathe.
Right.
And it's accurate. Like how many thousandths of a human hair?
Yeah, I think it's like 1/1000th of a human hair, like completely undetectable.
Bananas.
Yeah.
And then there's also some of those sculptures that they made that look like they're 3D printed. I mean, they're incredible. Perfectly symmetrical on the left side and the right side, and we don't really understand it. And we don't know what technology they were using, what kind of tools they were using. It's hard to know, man. It's hard to know, like, without, when they burned the Library of Alexandria and they destroyed all the records, like there's so much missing from the history of Egypt and how they did what they did. Just moving the stuff. How did you move it?
Right.
How did you move those fucking enormous stones? Like, what did you do?
Have you heard of this dude named Jeffrey Drum? He has a channel called The Land of Chem. He lives in Egypt. He lives I think right across the street from the pyramids. And he's basically got this very interesting theory that it was all chemical manufacturing, and the pyramids were chemical manufacturing plants. And I am gonna butcher this description, but I'm gonna do my best. Basically, what he found was that in a bunch of the other pyramids, like the Red Pyramid and some of the other pyramids, he's been in there and gone through them all. And he's basically, what they describe when they go in there is this smell, which some people equate to being like bat shit. But what he thinks is going on is it's creating some sort of like a chemical reaction in those chambers to create fertilizer, because there's a subterranean chamber below those where they have like all kinds of, they were putting shit in there, like animal shit down there. And then there's also these like ravines, these like cut out channels that come out of the bottom of the pyramid, and there's these bowls that were supposed to collect like chemicals. So he has this really elaborate theory on how, when I heard him tell me this, it made so much sense. But the problem was like, it makes sense. It seems super reasonable, but like, why build these massive structures that are so precise just to make chemicals? And, he was explaining like the agriculture and like why they needed to create fertilizer and
But why they need a massive stone structure to create fertilizer?
Right, exactly.
Isn't it possible that things also had one, they built them and then someone used them later on for different purposes? Isn't that possible as well?
I think so.
Instead of it being built for that, like maybe they just used it for that eventually?
That's possible. Yeah, but it seems like the way he was describing the interior, though, of the Red Pyramid was like it was reverse engineered to actually create the chemical that they would have needed to enhance the agriculture of the area. Like they showed it, they actually created it in a lab with like using the chemical process. I think there was like some Nazi scientists involved in this, of course.
Of course. The recreation of it.
Yeah, and the recreation.
Well, Christopher Dunn stuff was all about them creating hydrogen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what he felt. Like the whole thing was generating hydrogen, and that's what he thought. The whole those columns that went down, those passages that went down, and then there was the porous limestone that was at the end that seeped through, and he believed that this was all like some sort of a chemical reaction that they had to doing this. Here, what is here, Jamie?
Oh, the Red Pyramid was built as a power plant to produce ammonia from methane and nitrogen. That's what it was.
Fritz Haber won the Nobel Prize about a century ago. Yeah, the Haber process. Fritz Haber's a crazy story. Do you know that story?
No.
Okay. Fritz Haber, he devised a method of extracting nitrogen from the atmosphere. And for that, he was winning a Nobel Prize at the same time in which he was being wanted for war crimes, because he also created Zyklon gas. So he created the gas that they were using to spray on the Allies. So they would get this gas and spray it with fans. This was the first time they'd ever done something like this before, use gas in warfare. And they used, and he was a Jew, and they used, he created Zyklon A, which was then converted to Zyklon B. So Zyklon A had a very disgusting smell to it, so you knew it was coming. And then Zyklon B they used during the Holocaust to gas the Jews. And it had no smell. So they So I think it was initially made as a pesticide. I think that was the initial, here's see what it says there. Oh, this is different.
Oh, this is-
We're not talking
oh, this
about
is
Fritz
different.
Haber.
This is about how the Egypt thing would have been the same
Okay,
thing.
well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But the Fritz Haber thing, he was eventually exiled from Nazi Germany because he was Jewish. Like, they allowed him to stay initially in the beginning because he was so valuable, because he had done so much, and because he did create this gas that they were using to gas the Allies. And then, but imagine, guys up for a Nobel Prize at the same time where he's wanted for war crimes.
Yeah.
And because he was doing all this, his wife commits suicide. She shoots herself in the chest. He leaves her and his 13-year-old son to go to the front line while she's struggling for her life, like she's still alive. She eventually dies. He leaves her. The whole thing's horrific. And then he dies on the run. So he dies, I think he had a heart complication, which, duh, how much stress was that guy under, right? And then he leaves Nazi Germany when, the shit is going down. He's on the run, and he winds up dying on the run. I think he was dying on his way to try to seek medical care.
Yeah, bro. That, the story of what those fucking Nazis were doing is bananas.
It's insane.
You had Annie on here, and she talked
Yeah.
about what was going on when she tried to interview some of those guys that were still in Germany. I think she tried to interview, like, the grandson of one of the dudes that she wrote about. I can't remember his name right now. A dude with, like, a huge dueling scar on his face, and this guy, like, wanted nothing to do with his father or whatever. And she had these documents that she found when she went to Germany, and she was like, I guess she found a bunch of notes or whatever that he wrote to his son after he went to America with paperclip. And this was his grandson, I think.
Operation Paperclip, for people listening,
Yeah.
is they shipped over a bunch of the best Nazi scientists and brought them into NASA
Yes.
and some other departments at the end of the war.
And the grandson wanted nothing to do with his father. He, like, detested his father with every fiber of his being. And she was showing him the notes and, like, showing him, like, the humanity of the guy. The guy was torn between, like, being this scientist, contracted to do all this crazy shit for America, but he still loved his wife and son on the other hand. And he was so just torn apart by the fact that he had to leave them behind. Ugh. And then she showed the dude the documents. And then Annie Jacobson freaking hightailed it out of there with all that secret Nazi shit, like, didn't get caught. Which is incredible.
Well, it's just wild, the stuff they were working on. Like, how were they so advanced? And why were they so obsessed with the occult?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like all that Indiana Jones stuff, that was kind of legit. Like, they were really interested in the occult. Yeah.
Interdimensional aliens. What's Alex think about them?
Interdimensional child molesters. I haven't talked to him about that. We have talked about Operation Paperclip, but only in regards to, like, Werner von Braun. And, they were in, like, deep denial about that. But the Simon Wiesenthal Center said that if Werner von Braun was alive today, he would be prosecuted. He'd be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. Yeah, when he was running his rocket factory in Berlin, he would take the 5 slowest Jews and hang them from the front of the factory, so that as you're walking in, like, this is what happens if you move slowly. And that was the head of NASA who supposedly got us to the moon.
Speaking of the moon, have you seen that documentary called Room 237?
Yes.
I just watched it last night.
Yeah.
Fucking bananas.
Yeah, that's bananas. The connections between Kubrick's The Shining and the moon landing and all the hidden stuff that he did, all the Easter eggs, including the little boy with the NASA shirt on, the Apollo shirt on.
Apollo 11 shirt on. And then the key to the room 237 said room N, instead of NO 237, it just said room N 237. So you could, bro, I mean, I am like,
What does that mean?
so like if you take the letters ROOM and then N, you can recombobulate them to say moon.
Oh God!
Right? Like there's so much dot connecting in that documentary. It's absurd. There's an absurd level of dot connecting that just is unreasonable. But the stuff about the moon, though, like the kid wearing the Apollo 11 shirt, right?
The number of the door is the distance from the Earth to the moon.
Yes.
In miles.
Yeah.
Thousands of miles.
Yeah. I think it's like 1,000 miles short.
Yeah.
And then like also the psychological trauma, the scenes with Jack and his wife saying like, don't you know what a contract is? Where he's like living his double life and he's like arguing with his wife and talking about contracts and secrecy and all this stuff. And then, you know, there's so many weird things. And like that ball rolls up to Danny on the carpet and then it cuts back to him while he picks up the ball and the carpet shape is different. There's so many like strange Easter eggs in there.
What's that supposed to signify?
I have no idea. It's just like either that movie has like an insane level of like continuity errors or he was doing something.
Oh, he was probably doing it on purpose. Yeah. You know, Kubrick in his spare time would do complex mathematics. In his spare time. Yeah, he was like a legitimate genius. And it's amazing that he pulled off the greatest science fiction movie of all time, especially at the time, during the exact same time period where the moon landings were filmed. And the stuff from 2001 is more sophisticated. It looks better than the stuff from the moon landings. So like the idea that you couldn't fake it. Right. It's like, yeah, that guy could fake it. Right. 100% he could fake it.
Right.
And if they hired him to fake it, if they brought him aboard, the idea that he wouldn't be able to keep secret, like, of course he could.
Right.
Yeah, people keep secrets. This idea that people can't keep secrets because some people can't keep secrets, like, listen, high-level military guys keep secrets all the fucking time. They go to the grave with those secrets. Right. Yeah, they swear to secrecy. They swear to an oath. You know, they have top secret clearance and above and whatever it is, and they don't say shit forever. Their whole fucking family doesn't know what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about like if you think the moon landing was fake, you're a moron. But it's like the thing about it is, even if you want to say they did go to the moon, wouldn't it be reasonable to suggest that they would have had a backup plan in case they couldn't get there? Like, like have some sort of a video footage that they shot or whatever.
Well, not only that, they filmed a lot of training footage. And they definitely tried to pass some of that training footage off as legit. That's proven. Like the Michael Collins from Gemini, I forget what mission it was a spacewalk. So there's an image of him that was in training, and you know he's got the suit on and the wires, and he's working with the spacesuit that you use when you're actually in outside of the capsule or whatever the fuck they call it. And what they did was from the training mission they just blacked out the exterior of the same photo and reversed it. So they switched the photo the other way, it's the exact same photo, and they tried to pass it off as Michael Collins on the spacewalk. Because you got to think, like, how are they taking pictures? Who's going to take the picture of them out there? This is part of the problem with, I think it was Apollo 12 or 13, whichever one it was, where they got the footage of the lunar module leaving the moon and going back towards the orbiter. And it looks so fake. It looks so fake. It looks so ridiculous. There's no plumes of fire. How does it have the power? Where's the engine?
They use car batteries, right? On that thing, allegedly. That's what Bart Sibrel says.
It's still 1/6 of Earth's gravity. It's still a significant amount of gravity. It's not the same gravity as Earth, but how does that thing like shoot off into space? Like that's nonsense. It looks like it's being pulled by strings. Yeah. And the camera, which is operated, remotely, pans perfectly to catch it. Like, shut the fuck up. And how are you getting that footage? Like, what are you doing? This is 1969. You're on the phone with Richard Nixon from the moon. Are you out of your fucking mind? Is this supposed to be real?
Yep. Yep.
This episode is brought to you by The Farmer's Dog. I think we can all agree that eating highly processed food for every meal isn't optimal. So why is processed food the status quo for dog food? Because that's what kibble is, an ultra-processed food. But a healthy alternative exists, the farmer's dog. They make fresh food for dogs. And what does it look like? Real meat and vegetables that are gently cooked to retain vital nutrients and help avoid any of the bad stuff that comes with ultra processing. And it's not just random ingredients thrown together. Their food is formulated by on-staff board certified vet nutritionists. These people are experts on dog nutrition, and they're all in on fresh food. The farmer's dog also does something unique. They portion out the food to your dog's nutritional needs. This ensures that you don't overfeed them, making weight management easy. Research shows that dogs kept at a healthy weight can live up to 2.5 years longer. Head to thefarmersdog.com/Rogan to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. This offer is for new customers only.
Right in the middle of Operation Paperclip, MK Ultra, the Cold War, all the fucking deception that was going on, all the secret.
They lied about everything.
That was the time in history where they probably had the most fucking lies.
Vietnam War. They lied about everything.
Kennedy.
So the idea that they didn't lie about this one thing, the moon landing, was all 100% legit. Meanwhile, you've got intersecting shadows. You've got all sorts of problems. You've got the weirdest one is Neil Armstrong's 25th anniversary speech that he gave at the White House. That was so crazy. We have here among us America's best and brightest. You will achieve great things. Great, but once you reveal some of truth's hidden layers.
Once the hidden layers are uncovered.
What?
It made no
How about
sense.
just say I went to the moon 25 years ago? Like, what is all this cryptic talk?
That was the only time you ever did a public talk, I think, about it.
Well, the other thing is the post-flight press conference. The post-flight press conference looks like these guys have a gun to their head. It looks like a hostage video. It looks so weird.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, they were nervous. They just got back from the moon. Bro, look at Katy Perry. She went basically a little bit higher than an airplane, and it was like a life-changing experience. She's holding up a daisy. It was amazing. I feel so connected to Mother Earth. You know, like, these guys would have been ecstatic.
Yeah.
The idea that they would have been nervous as if they've been forced to lie. They're behaving. Like, behavior experts have looked at that footage and said these guys are being deceptive.
Yes.
Particularly Michael Collins. There's also inconsistent things with what he said during the post-flight press conference right after flying in comparison to his 1994 book.
Change the story, right?
Changes the story about being able to see the stars. What were the stars like? And he's like, I don't know.
Don't
I
remember
don't
that.
recall seeing any stars. And then in the 1994 book, he talks about how amazing they were and incredible. And the footage that Sabrell acquired that shows that it appears that they covered up the windows to make this deceptive film that looks like they're far into space. That's a weird one, man, because I can't find any rational explanation. That's like I tried to look at it like as objectively as possible because I've gone back and forth on the moon thing. Like at one point in time, I thought I'm just being really stupid. Like, of course they went to the moon. Everybody would know about this. And then over time, like I joked about it in my comedy special. Like after COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. But that's kind of true. Like once I saw the level of deception that was willfully pushed forth during COVID, and how many people were cooperating with this, and like how many organizations, government organizations, were cooperating, knowing that they lied, knowing that these were lies. I'm like, yeah, they can lie about all kinds of things. And this is today with the internet. You know, like look, where's the Epstein files? Boo, can't find them. Don't exist. Like they can get away with shit, man.
Oh, yeah.
And the idea that they couldn't in 1969, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. They could fake that. It'd be easier to go to the moon than it would be to fake it. Shut the fuck up. No, it wouldn't.
Right.
Not if you physically can't get a human being through the Van Allen radiation belts without them dying. They never even flew a chicken through those fucking things and had it come back alive. They
Russia flew a dog and it came back and died 2 days later, I think.
But they didn't even go to deep space.
No, just I think they just went into the belt and then did a U-turn.
Bro, no one's even been close.
Have you seen I'm sure you've seen this, the photo of Jolly West hanging out on the set of 2001 Space Odyssey?
No.
You haven't seen it?
No. Oh, that's amazing.
Should I send it on?
Fuck yeah, send it to Jamie.
Oh my god.
Do you have his number?
No.
Here.
But you could probably Google it. It's probably not that
see
hard
if
to
you
find.
could find it if you Google it.
Yeah, just Jolly West, Stanley Kubrick, 2001 Space Odyssey. It's a photo of them walking between the sound stages, and it's a wide shot of a bunch of dudes.
Listen, man, of course there's
That's
Kubrick.
not it. That's not it.
of course they would contact Kubrick if they wanted to go to the moon and fake it.
Yeah.
And of course, if Kubrick was, if you're in the middle of the Cold War, which they were, which was very terrifying.
Right.
Right. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, we were terrified of Russia bombing America.
Yes.
Everyone was like really concerned, and Russia was the great enemy. You know, the video of Khrushchev yelling, "We will bury you," like that was like burned into every American child's mind. And if you were a patriot and you wanted to defeat Russia, we have a strategy to defeat Russia. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to, first of all, we're going to bankrupt them by just making them spend to keep up with us. And they don't have a capitalist society, so they don't really have a GDP. Like they have a GDP, but they don't have like the same sort of corporate structure that we have in America, where they're like striving and innovating and developing new things. And the companies are getting bigger and there's more growth. And no, they're communist. They were a communist country, so everything was like food lines and. They didn't have the kind of money that we have. It wasn't even close. So Reagan essentially bankrupted them. And then, you know, during the time, and, you know, all the other people before him as well, but during the time where they were developing these rocket ships, the Russians were way more advanced than us. And basically every single thing. They got to space first, put the first man in space, put the first satellite in space, and they couldn't even come close to putting a guy on the moon.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's incredible also that there was never another nuke that was sent to anybody after Fat Man and Little Boy.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It is really insane to think about sometimes.
Yeah,
and,
that's one of the great achievements of human beings. We did it once and we said, let's not do that again.
Annie's book about nuclear war scared the living shit out of me, bro.
Oh my God, yeah, it's a good one.
How she said that we have 11 interceptor missiles in the U.S.
That's it.
A total, I think it's 11 or maybe 22. Or no, it's 44.
And Russia has 5,000 missiles.
Yeah. And the problem with it is, like, if a rogue nuke got launched from North Korea from one of their submarines, it would have to fly over the North Pole, right, towards us. And as soon as they launch it with all of our satellite systems that we can detect the rocket burner, like, going into orbit, we'll know within 5 minutes of them launching it, probably before. And then we literally have to, I guess, like the way she described it was, our policy is once that nuke is launched, we have to empty our silos, our ICBM silos, because they're stationary. They can't, if they're hit, they're gonna try to take us out at those ICBM sites. That's going to be like one of their first targets. So it's use it or lose it. You have to launch all those ICBM nukes, and then we have to fly those over the North Pole, over Russia, to hit North Korea. And it takes like 11 minutes. So, like, you got to get Putin on the phone in 10 minutes saying, yo, these nukes aren't coming for you, bro. They're going for Kim Jong-un.
Oh, my God.
And then by that time, it's like, if you don't have like perfect communication amongst all these world leaders, everyone's going to be launching nukes.
Well, you know the story about that one Russian military guy that was the reason why Russia didn't launch a retaliatory strike? Because there was a
submarine guy?
An error. Yeah. There was an error, and they thought the United States had launched a missile towards Russia. And they were ready to respond. Wow.
That's Jolly West in the background, bro.
It's unconfirmed if it was him. I don't know if anyone confirmed it.
That's if you can find a young
zoom
photo.
In on him. Zoom in on him.
I did.
Let's zoom in on him right here.
I saw the video where someone's talking about it, and that's.
Oh, that's him, bro.
I don't know.
What are you talking about? You don't know.
I haven't.
Jamie works for the government, by the way. Jamie's CIA.
I'm just saying. I don't
Look
know.
at that. That's 100% him. Look at that picture. Now go to the other picture you just showed. That's him.
That's Jolly West.
Yeah, that's him, dude. I mean,
nothing to see here.
Yeah, that is 100% him. That's the exact same face. Shut the fuck up, Jamie.
Find another one. Corroborate it.
That's all. I'm just. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Out of all the people that I wish were alive that I could talk to, Kubrick is number one on that list.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. First of all, he made some of the most impactful. Well, I would like to talk to Jolly West too, if he'd be willing.
Fuck.
Be a few people.
I don't feel like they look the same.
Dude was everywhere.
Yeah, that looks like him, Jamie.
They look similar.
Yeah, it looks like
I mean,
him.
it doesn't
Jamie.
look like that guy.
Look at that guy. Look at the far left photo.
Bro,
it seems pretty close.
Jamie, that's him. Shut the fuck up.
Hairline's identical. Look at the hairline.
Jamie's a party pooper. Jamie's a total party pooper.
I'd like to. I want good evidence. There's a little part right here on that guy's head, and that guy's got.
Oh my
no
God,
part.
he combed his hair different. Crazy.
I mean,
I hate when facts don't line up with my theory.
The part in the second one is exactly the same.
Yeah,
that one right there is exactly the same.
Yeah, that is.
He started losing his hair and he started doing a little bit of a comb over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look, man, that guy was one of the biggest pieces of shit in the history of the United States government. What he did was nuts. Just the fucking Manson stuff was nuts. The MK Ultra stuff was unbelievable. And imagine you could do all this stuff. No one's investigating you. No one even knows. It's all completely top secret. Congress has no idea you even exist in this realm. And they were running around doing like...
Yeah, I was talking to Hamilton about it. I'm like, dude, isn't that crazy all the stuff they were doing with MK Ultra? Hamilton's like, no. Of course those guys were doing that shit.
Who's Hamilton?
Hamilton Morris.
Oh, Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy, of course.
He's like, of course they were doing that, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, if you have some unique compound like LSD and, it gets, Hoffman discovers it and then they start experimenting, like, what can we do with this stuff? And then you find it has profound effects on the human mind. Of course, you're going to try to use it for mind control. Right. They had already experimented with all sorts of techniques in regards to doing it with prisoners, like taking prisoners and trying to figure out like what kind of sleep deprivation, what psychological techniques can you use to extract information from them. So if you had something like LSD, of course they're going to try that. Makes sense.
Yeah.
They were doing it way back into the 50s in the UK with those British soldiers. I'm sure you've seen that video.
No, I have not.
You never seen that?
No.
They dosed up these soldiers with acid and then had them go out into the field and do these training routines, training exercises.
No
and
shit.
They couldn't do it. You see if you can find the video. It's hilarious. They were just laughing so hard they couldn't perform. Like some of them were able to do their duties and other ones just fell to the ground. They were just laughing and rolling around the ground. Like this is them. This is 64.
These guys are high on acid.
Is that what it says, Jamie? Did you just make it smaller again so you could see it? Yeah, 64. Royal Marines. So look at these poor guys. The men begin to relax and giggle.
What the fuck are we doing here, bro?
They probably didn't even tell them, and this guy freaked out. He had to be removed. He's holding that lady's hand. I love you. I think you're amazing. We're all connected. God is real. There is no death. And he's aiming the missile. He's aiming this cannon. Look at these people.
Yeah.
Note the bunch of indecision as they enter a wood. Almost
so
immediately, a section commander tried to use a map. He couldn't read the map. They're just tripping balls.
Oh my god!
It's so funny that they try. Look at their smile on their face. These guys got his hand over his head, like, "What is going on, man?" And then it's supposed to be doing these exercises. Radio communication
guy,
become
dude.
difficult, if not impossible. He's like, "Fuck this."
Unfucking real.
Look at him. This guy's just laying down, laughing, having so much fun. I try to chop a tree down using only a spade. The sense of responsibility in spite of physical illnesses. But 1 hour into...
Imagine what they're doing now.
Those guys are dead.
There's yeah. The DARPA, that DARPA grant that went to University of North Carolina to figure out how to take the psychedelic trip out of LSD, I think it was.
Yeah.
They're trying to make super soldiers, right? They're trying to make them so they can, this is what I've heard, is that they are trying to make them more effective on the battlefield.
Right.
With things like edge detection.
Right.
And also coming back, like get back out there, like take them through the process, let them recoup and get right back out on the battlefield. To where, if you could get all the benefits of a psychedelic without the trip,
right,
would you get those benefits, and would it be useful for soldiers in combat? It's an interesting idea.
Well, the Vikings took mushrooms, and the berserkers, they would take mushrooms before combat. Yeah. I mean,
Really?
it does make sense. It really does. It doesn't make sense to us because we think of mushrooms as like, hey, man, I'm going to go connect with God and it's going to be peaceful. I'm going to lay in a field. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to reset and come back and tell everybody I love them. That's what mushrooms are to us. But if you live in an insanely warlike culture and you believe it's right to go to battle and you're supposed to go to battle and Odin is on your side, and you take these mushrooms to summon the strength of the gods and to prepare yourself for battle. And I know a lot of guys who fight on mushrooms.
Really?
Yeah. Like Joe Schilling talked about on the podcast. He took like a small dose and was sparring and then fought a few kickboxing bouts that way. He said he could see what guys were doing before they were doing it. It's almost like he could. And Joe Schilling's a world champion, like an elite kickboxer, like one of the best ever. And so for a guy like that to say that it had a profound effect on him, he knows his body. Like he's battle hardened. He knows the difference between regular fighting and fighting on mushrooms. He said he could see, he could almost like know what they were going to do before they did it.
That's wild.
Yeah.
There's this dude who is like, I heard about Dana Beal, who's flying Ibogaine to the troops in Ukraine, to the Ukrainian troops, trying to get those guys on Ibogaine. And meanwhile, the Russians are on, what's that meth drug? There's like a new age meth that they're on.
There's a new age meth?
Yeah, there's a new version of it.
The new version of what the Nazis...
It's not Pervitin. It's like a new version of it. It's like a little bit tamer. But,
like Adderall.
Yeah, I guess, maybe.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Visible. I want to let you in on something. Your current wireless carrier does not want you to know about Visible because Visible is the ultimate wireless hack. No confusing plans with surprise fees, no nonsense, just fast speeds, great coverage without the premium cost. With Visible, you get one-line wireless with unlimited data powered by Verizon's network for $25 a month, taxes and fees included. Seriously, $25 a month flat. What you see is what you pay. No hidden fees on top of that. Ready to see? Join now and unlock unlimited data for just $25 a month on the Visible plan. Don't think wireless can be so transparent? So Visible? Well, now you know. Switch today at visible.com/Rogan. Terms apply. See visible.com for plan features and network management details.
Maybe like super Adderall. But
Adderall. Do you know how many
working.
million prescriptions of Adderall are given in this country every year?
Gavin McGinnis told me before I came here, I was like, you got any advice for Joe Rogan? He's like,
Yes, Gavin McGinnis.
he said, slam 3 beers and eat an Adderall. I was like, no, bro.
That sounds like what he would do.
Yeah.
Yeah. He came. Did you ever see the time he came in dressed like Michael Douglas?
Yeah,
from
of
Walking
course.
Down.
Of course.
Walking. What is it? What was the movie?
I forget the name of the movie, but yeah, that
Wait,
was
freaked
incredible.
out. Michael Douglas had enough.
Yeah. No, he slams beers 24/7. He's constantly drinking Budweiser.
Yeah.
I've never seen him without a Budweiser in his hand. It works.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh, he's a smart guy. Yeah, he's a funny guy too. He just the Proud Boys thing was just if he had never done that, he would be like a famous commentator today.
Yeah.
Like you think about like Steve Bannon, all these other guys, like he's way funnier than any of those guys.
Oh, yeah.
And he's very insightful. Like he's right about a lot of things. He like picks up on trends and culture and sees where people are going and he was aware of like the dangers of Marxism and a lot of this fucking ridiculous leftist ideology that they were pushing in universities like way before anybody else was.
Yeah, there was this documentary that just came out all about him from one of the guys, Thomas, that used to work for Vice. He was like one of the original reporters for Vice. He did all like the early stuff, and he made this documentary all about Gavin, and it's like focuses on the transformation from like early punk rock, like liberal Gavin in the UK with like the Mobs and the Rockers, to like the current Gavin, which is like, you know, he frames him as this super right wing racist dude. And you know, I was asking Gavin about it because he came on the podcast recently, and he's like, I've always been the same. He's like, he was explaining that his views never changed. He was saying that like Vice all of a sudden was getting infused with millions of corporate dollars, and I wasn't a good look for that. They didn't want me in there. But meanwhile, he was like the whole soul of Vice. Like if there was no Gavin, there was no Vice. Like all the controversial do's and don'ts shit, and like all those controversial articles about like trans shit early in like the early 2000s that he was doing was funny, and like culture didn't look at it the way it looks at it today, you know.
Well, he was being attacked for things that are like openly discussed today, like the dangers of trans ideology, and that these are just men, and a lot of these men are doing it because they're perverts, and so they're autogynephilics, and you know, autogynephilia is a real thing. It's men who get sexually aroused and pretending that they're women, and they want to go into women's spaces and be sexually aroused. You know, now people are saying that openly, right? Like, what was the university that Leah Thomas was swimming in? Penn? Okay, so they have to take away all of, air quotes, her gold medals. It's a guy, like, has a penis, has sex with women, supposedly, according to Tony Hinchcliffe. That's my number one source of news. But he actually has a bit about it. It's really funny. But the university now has to apologize to all the women that were forced to compete with him. and say they fucked up and never do it again, and not allow biological men to compete with women, which is like, it should be that should be a left-wing perspective. Not that you shouldn't be able to be trans. Of course, you should be able to do whatever you want. I'm for you doing whatever you want if you don't hurt other people.
Right.
If you really believe you're a woman, and look, if you can get fake tits and you can get fake lips and you can get a dick enlargement and like do whatever you want to do. I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. I'm covered with tattoos. I've made stupid decisions. Like, do whatever you want to do. But when you're competing with women, you are essentially victimizing these women. You're forcing these women to compete with men who've been through puberty, and in this case, still have a functional penis, like, which is fucking bananas. That's a man. And just because you think you're a woman, you physically, we know there's a difference.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a giant problem until there was that fighter, Fallon Fox, who had competed twice against women without letting them know that this person was a biological male for 30 years, fathered a child, the whole deal. I'm like, this is crazy. And that his response was, it's a medical condition, so I don't have to disclose this. It's medical information, which is just horseshit.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And when I was saying that, I got attacked like over and over and over again. I go, whoa, this is from the left. Like, the left has no problem with a mentally ill man beating the shit out of women. Falsely claiming that they're not even allowing these women to know. These women think they're going to go compete in a low-level MMA fight. Like, a lot of them didn't look good. They didn't look like they were well-trained. And they're competing against a biological man without having any idea. One of them got a fractured skull. It's like, that's when I would realize, like, oh, this is just a cult. This isn't the left that I grew up with. I grew up with parents that were hippies. And so, like, my whole life I was left-wing. I felt like that was the only way to be. But when you see the left allowing this bizarre loophole where perverts can pretend to be women,
Right.
compete with women, fight with women, beat them up, be in their locker rooms, walk around naked with their dick hanging out, no one can say anything. Like, how did they switch? How did they flip it on its head? That, like, at any other time in history, if a man had a penis, was walking through a young girl's locker room, you'd be in real fucking trouble, rightly so, because that's not a thing that you should want to do.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing to want to walk around naked with your dick hanging out in front of a bunch of women. That's a creepy sexual thing, period.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you're like Nero, you're not doing that. You know?
Even Nero.
You sick fuck. But like another thing Gavin was pointing out to me, he showed me this this Time magazine cover from like a couple months ago. And it was all about how tomboys are going extinct. You've seen that?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, because they're turning them all
They're
into boys.
cutting their tits off and turning them into boys.
Cutting their tits off and then giving them fake dicks. I was watching this operation today.
You watched an operation?
I watched, excuse me, I should say this. I was watching a video on the post-op. I saw images of the operation. That was enough. But it was this poor person who decided they wanted to pee standing up. That was all they wanted from this fake dick. So they have these enormous scars on their leg where they take a giant chunk of flesh out of your thigh and roll it up and make a penis out of it. And they had to do it to both legs for some reason. Maybe one of them didn't work real well. But
how old was this person?
They sounded young. They didn't show their face. It's fucking insane because a lot of these people, unfortunately, are autistic, and then there's this other factor when you give them testosterone, it does alleviate anxiety because all of a sudden, you have this new hormone in abundance in your system.
Yeah.
And you feel different. You feel better. You feel more confident, which is like the same way men feel when they have more testosterone. It's like, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is who I was all along. Like, no. You're taking a fucking compound that's forcing your body to change. Like, this is not who you were. You're not affirming your identity. You're doing something that's altering your hormonal structure and turning you into a man. Like, it might feel good, but this is not like your true self. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to do it. If you want to do it, if you're a woman and you want to take testosterone and be a man or be more manly, I feel like, I don't know if it's the best decision for you, but I'm not you. And I believe in freedom. I believe in 100% human freedom as long as you're not hurting other people.
Yeah.
My beef with it is like it translated into them invading women's spaces. And, that's crazy. That's crazy because you leave the loophole for perverts. There could be a lot of them that legitimately trans people that feel like they are in the wrong body and they want to live their life as a woman. And when they live their life as a woman, they feel healthier. They feel better. They're happier. and also crazy people. And if you don't have a way of determining who is just a pervert who just wants to hang out in the women's locker room and show everybody his dick, and who is a legitimate person with gender dysphoria. And that's the other thing that, like, Tucker had a really good point about this. He said if someone has anorexia, you don't tell them, yeah, you're fat. Yeah, you're fat. You're right. You're correct. Even though you look like a skeleton, you need to lose weight. No, you tell them you're mentally ill. This is incorrect. You're not overweight. In fact, you have body dysmorphia. You can't see what you really look like, which we know is a real condition. Like, it's a real condition with anorexia. It's even a real condition with bodybuilders. It's a real condition. A real condition when people get plastic surgery, where they get crazy lips and crazy cheeks, and they can't see it. They can't see it. They can't see themselves.
It's insane.
It's nuts.
They turn themselves into like all
Monsters.
these girls looking like Jar Jar Binks walking around downtown.
They look like monsters. They look like monsters. And it doesn't look good. And they keep tweaking and fucking with it. And they can't see it because it's a mental illness. It's the same kind of thing. Like, the human mind is incredibly fragile. That's why Jolly West was fascinated with trying all these MK Ultra techniques and different compounds on people's brains, because human people can be manipulated, like, very easily, shockingly easily. Not all of us, right? Like, you and me are probably pretty skeptical. There's a lot of skeptical people out there. But there's a bunch of people that are not skeptical at all. They're super gullible. And when an ideology forms, they step in line, and they follow that ideology verbatim to the line. They'll repeat the things that they're supposed to say to the line, because they think that's what they're supposed to do in order to be in the good graces of this community that they find themselves in. It's a fucking cult. And there's a shit ton of cults. It's not just the Moonies. It's not just, whatever, fill in the blank. It's all sorts of political ideologies. It's MAGA. It's the far left. It's the people that are cheering for this guy in New York City that's a communist.
Yeah, didn't he just promise a bunch of money for transition surgeries?
Yay! Hooray! Yay. Yeah, it's nuts.
Government-run grocery stores and all that stuff. But he didn't win yet. He won the primary.
He's gonna win, dude. He has 100%, because the other guy is the fucking Guardian Angels guy. The other guy is Curtis Sliwa, the guy who wears the goofy beret.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the guy who won the Republican side. Nobody wants to be a Republican mayor of New York City because they know they can't win. So they're not like...
This guy's to the left of Bill de Blasio.
Oh, he's way to the left. Yeah. And he's young, and he's energetic, and he's saying all the right things for all these kids that are in the streets, that are protesting. They think they want to make the world a better place, which, hey, I would have been doing it with you if I was 20. It's all the same thing, man. It's all the same thing. You can get indoctrinated into a particular way of thinking without being objective about what's actually going on. All these people that are, like, just running through the street now saying free Iran. Like, yeah, free Iran from a dictatorship. Absolutely. But if you're saying, like, wear scarves over your head and being forced to do what the Iranian government wants you to do and live like they live over there, no, they don't live free.
Right.
Like, they assassinated the fucking Olympic gold medalist in Russia, in wrestling rather, in Iran, because he was protesting against the government. Like, they'll take national heroes and kill them openly. Like, it's not a good place to live.
Right.
And I'm not saying we should bomb them, but, like, being in support of Iran, the Iranian people, yeah, for sure. But that government is nuts, man. It's like, trans people for Hamas. like, you know what I mean? Like, there's people that are just, they're not seeing what you're talking, they're not seeing the big picture.
Yeah, there's so many contradictions out there, man. It's really hard to follow it all.
It's because it's a cult.
And and I think a huge amount of the Iranian population supports Israel too. And it's like, you would never fucking know that unless you, like, talk to them or listen to some of these interviews of these people. A
ton of Persian Jews that moved to Los Angeles. That was like at the fall, I guess it was in the 70s when, so this is the story for people that don't know about Iran. So there was a gentleman who was democratically elected. I forget his name, what is his name? I'm going to fuck it up. So he decided that he was going to nationalize oil in Iran, and they got him out like that. They installed the Shah and turned it into an Islamic dictatorship, but they had access to the oil. So the CIA and the British government and everybody conspired to get rid of this democratically elected guy, because Iran at the time was like, women were wearing shorts or skirts rather, walking down the street. It looked cool. Here it is. Mohammed Mossadegh. Okay, so let's zoom in on the story here. It says Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh was removed from power in a coup organized and financed by British and U.S. governments. The Shah quickly returned to take power and signed off over 40% of Iran's oil fields to U.S. companies. It's crazy, man. It's like it's so transparent. They didn't even wait a couple of years. They didn't even, well, the Shah's in power now. We'll see how things go.
Right,
No,
right.
they immediately came in and signed everything off.
Yep.
1953, the CIA and British intelligence orchestrated a coup d'etat that toppled the democratically elected government of Iran. The government of Mohammad Mossadegh, the aftershocks of the coup are still being felt. 51 Prime Minister Mossadegh roused Britain's ire when he nationalized the oil industry. So the oil, they weren't making money off the oil. They were making money, but not as much money as the British were. Yeah. It had been exclusively controlled by the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. The company later became known as the British Petroleum.
This
BP.
time it's different, though. We don't want
BP,
the
which
oil
is
this time.
they're the same people that dumped all the oil in the Gulf.
Yeah, exactly.
That's BP. After considering military action, Britain opted for a coup d'etat. President Harry Truman rejected the idea, but when Dwight Eisenhower took over the White House, he ordered the CIA to embark on one of its first covert operations against a foreign government. And Iran's been fucked ever since. I mean, we've been doing stuff like that. Not we, not you and I, not me and Danny Jones. We're innocent. But the United States government, especially the intelligence agencies in the days, before they assassinated Kennedy, they were doing all kinds of wild shit.
Oh, yeah.
And
We're done now. We don't do that anymore. They don't do that shit anymore.
They definitely don't.
No.
No,
They would never. They don't care a shit about the oil over there.
No, this government's America first now. We're legit.
America first.
It's a crazy history.
Bro.
And when you don't know the history, you go like, why are we mad at the Iranians? Well, why are they mad at us? Okay. Like, what did we do to them?
Yeah.
Like, why, how did these Islamic jihadists come to power? Like, where did it all start? Well, go back to the Mujahideen. We literally changed their definition of jihad. Like, we wanted them to become suicide bombers. We wanted them to do things and martyr themselves. So it was the original definition of jihad. Look this up, but I'm pretty sure it was a war against your own vices.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. The idea was you were trying to be a good Muslim, a pure Muslim. You were trying to avoid impure thoughts, no alcohol, all these different things. And they twisted that around with jihadists and through the CIA and Osama bin Laden and the Mujahideen to fight off the Soviet Union when the Soviet Union occupied Afghanistan. Like, Osama bin Laden was our guy.
Right.
He was working for us.
Yeah.
And then he's like, these fucking people suck.
Yeah, there was the story how his pancreas
A struggle
failed.
against the enemies of Islam, a spiritual struggle within oneself against sin. Greatest jihad. Yeah.
It sounds great.
Isn't that interesting? A spiritual struggle within oneself against sin.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just reading it sounds like
So it
there's no
seems like
problem.
it's more than one definition.
There's probably so many
The other one
bastardized
is
versions.
declared a jihad against the scroll back down again. Struggle or fight against the enemies of Islam. So it's two things, but they made it.
Yeah.
They did a lot of mind fucking to those people, and they put them on a war that they couldn't win, again, to try to do the same thing that they were doing with the rocket program, with everything else.
Yeah.
They were trying to outspend the Soviets. They were trying to bankrupt them.
Yeah. That part of the world is just like, how much of it has to do with the fact that we've been occupying that area, that part of the world for so long, and going out there, killing all the bad guys, and then the kids seeing their families being slaughtered, and then okay, we're going to eliminate terrorism, let's take out these bad guys. But then the kids grow up and you realize it's just the Hydra. You cut the head off and 3 grow back.
Well, if you want to be even more cynical, we pay them and we arm them.
Yes.
And we left behind billions of dollars of shit
Yeah.
in Afghanistan that they use for parades now. They drive down the street with
our
our
shit.
tanks.
Yeah.
They have our Black Hawks flying overhead. That's all the shit we left. Billions of dollars. Like, you couldn't have got that out? Well, do you think they leave it there so that these people are always formidable and they always leave open the door to go back in?
Yeah.
I think so. I don't think that's the primary reason why they did it, but I've got to assume that would be on the table if it's been on the table in the past. Arming people in the past has always been a thing that we do. I mean, there's a Bill Hicks joke about Iraq. It's like, they have the most deadly weapons. How do you know? Well, we looked at the receipts. I butchered the joke, but
yeah.
But you know,
Yeah.
we've always been doing that.
Of course.
We've done that forever.
Yeah. What's my favorite Bill Hicks joke? At least that I'm not like a historian on Bill Hicks, but the one where he's talking about the sock puppets. He's like,
Yeah.
I like this guy on the right. He seems like he fits my ideas. He's like, well, I think to fancy the guy on the left. He's like, what the fuck? The same guy's holding both the puppets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect. Perfectly illustrates the way it is. You know?
Yeah, and again, this was before we really knew things. This was Bill Hicks was saying this in the 1990s, where we just had books. So you know, it was
Right.
it was really hard to get these ideas across. Mm-hmm. He would have been a great podcast guest.
Oh hell yeah.
You know, because he was
time.
like saying these things when no one even knew what he was saying. You know, and he was putting it into comedy. You know, like people then were not nearly as aware of the manipulation of money and power. They really thought. A lot of people thought that the will of the people, you know, the president, we got to get a good president in there that's looking out for us. And they didn't really understand that it's all being bought and paid by special interest groups, large corporations, huge donors, and that when the guy gets in there, he's just representing the same thing no matter what.
Yeah. The amount of reading and insight and learning that guy was, a lot of those dudes were able to do back then pre-internet is astonishing.
Yeah.
And to be able to like internalize and process those ideas and rework them with draft after draft and refine it into like the most perfect way to communicate it to people to where it lands. You know, it's fucking crazy. And in today's day and age, it's almost like you would think it would be easier with all of the access to information, but it seems like it might even be harder because there's just too much information. Like last night, listening to you talk was fucking incredible, dude. Like listening to how you were at the end doing this, like the Q&A with the crowd. You're like, I ran out of jokes. Who wants to ask me questions? And you were just on another gear, dude. It's like you're so high octane and you're so like up to speed with everything that's happening around the world at all times. It's mind-blowing to me how you're able to do this stuff, how you're able to stay up, do comedy late, do podcasts every day, and be like up to speed with all the news and like have like thought through a lot of these things that just happened yesterday. I'm just fascinated by that, dude.
Well, that's all I do. You know, when you only pay attention to fascinating things, like things that are interesting to you, and they're also interesting to the audience. But I mean, I don't have a regular job, right? So this is my job. Yeah. So it's my job to kind of pay attention to stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and have opinions on things. And then the tricky thing is taking those opinions and trying to make them funny. You know, trying to like put it in a way that's going to be hilarious on stage.
What do you think about this Diddy thing that just happened this morning?
Kind of crazy.
He's
you know,
free.
I'll tell you what, Kurt Metzger called this from the beginning. And especially when he found out that Comey's daughter was going to be the judge. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah. Wasn't she the same judge on the Ghislaine Maxwell case? Yeah.
Oh, yes, I did hear this.
Yeah. Bro, where's the videos? They were telling us that videos are going to come out, incredibly high-profile people doing horrendous things, evil things. People are going to go to jail. People are going to be shocked.
Yeah.
Where?
Right.
Nothing.
Well, like,
zero.
My thing about the Diddy thing is like, I don't really give a fuck. These people are they're of age. They're like 18 years old. And is it shitty what he's doing, trying to like use people and leverage them and to do these weird sexual things and like sick shit, just the most sick shit you could possibly think of. But like the way I look at it is these people are using this Diddy stuff. All it does is like take away from the real child trafficking that's going on with like underage kids, right? There's like 300,000 something like missing kids. Like talking about Diddy and his oil parties with these 18-year-olds, like, do I think it's good? No. I want to beat up their dad, but other than that, I don't really give a fuck if there's like 18 to 19-year-olds that are doing this stuff, as long as they're not being like actually like physically raped. But I mean, it seems like what's going on is just like this weird cultish thing where they slowly get creep closer and closer and closer to this thing. Like, oh, I'm here now. All these famous people are here. They're doing this. Like
elaborate parties, lots of money, everything you want. The golden carrot at the end of the stick.
Right.
So the thing is, he's not even being charged for any of the things you just brought up. He's not being charged for blackmail, which is kind of crazy because, like, what did they do? Why did they tell us that there was all these videos of all these high-profile people and then silence, and then it never comes up once during the trial? There's none of that stuff in the trial. In the trial, it was his ex-girlfriend Cassie. They were talking about, so like, he's up for these 2 charges left, and it's like prostitution, something. It's like nothing stuff. It's like stuff that he's going to go to jail for like 5 years, if at all, and probably won't.
Right.
And he's already been in jail for. So like, what is time served now? It's over a year, right?
Yeah. No, I think he's going to walk, dude. I mean,
I think he's going to walk
I don't
too.
think he's going to spend any time.
And this is what Kurt Metzger called a long time ago. As soon as he saw that it was Comey's daughter, he was like, oh, he's going to walk. Trust me, he's going to walk. There's a bunch of high-profile people that are connected to this.
Yeah.
They're covering it all up. If he goes down, they go down. So he's not going to go down.
Right.
So that's the thing. Like, if he really did have like really wealthy, high-profile people at his parties, which we know he did, you know, Diddy prosecutors abandoned multiple allegations against rapper days before trial's end. Hey, he says,
wow.
Hey, remember I called it? This is Kurt Metzger on Twitter. Because James Comey's daughter is the prosecutor.
Yep.
Remember how well she swept up on the Ghislaine trail?
Yep.
Hey, who else called it?
Yep.
I can't be the only one. Yeah, he called it.
Yep.
He called it in
I
the
remember this
fucking
now.
He called it in the fucking green room of the mothership right when he found out. He goes, he's going to walk. I'm like, what are you talking about? Have you heard these charges?
Yeah.
He's going to go to jail.
Yeah.
No, Metzger was right.
Yep. And then we I don't know what happened with
And
Ghislaine
you don't
Maxwell.
think
What's
they
she
could
doing
fake
right
the
now?
moon landing? Yeah. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. They've got videotape, and all of a sudden they don't. You know, you have the director of the FBI on this show saying there's no if there was, nothing you're looking for is on those tapes. Like, what? Why did they say there was thousands of hours of tapes of people doing horrible shit? Why did they say that?
Right.
Didn't Pam Bondi say that?
What, are you talking about Epstein or Diddy?
Yeah, Epstein.
Epstein. Yeah, she said it literally, I think, a week before you had the FBI director sitting here telling you there was nothing, right?
She said something about that there was like thousands of hours of tapes of people doing horrible crimes.
There is. And didn't the FBI dude say that there was nothing?
Cash Patel said there's nothing you're looking for. Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, what am I going to do? I'm going to push back.
Right. No, of course. I understand.
Obviously,
I understand.
he's saying what he has to say.
Right.
Mystery surrounds the Jeffrey Epstein files after Bondi claims tens of thousands of videos. Tens of thousands. Jesus Christ.
I'll tell you what.
Chill. Oh, my God. Was reviewing tens of thousands of videos, the wealthy financier with children or child porn. The comment made to reporters at the White House days after a similar remark to a stranger with a hidden camera raised the stakes for President Donald Trump's administration to prove it has in its possession previously unseen compelling documents. Or just bomb Iran, and everybody forgets
Just
about
bomb Iran. Yeah.
Everybody forgets about it.
Yeah, it seems crazy that we're just I would think just Trump's demeanor, his MO towards other countries. Like, if we're the ones funding them, giving them all this money, and they're trying to fight a war, like, typically he would be putting his boot on their neck, like, listen, you motherfucker. Like, he's talking shit, right? Like, you have to do what I want you to do. And it just seems like, and now I think it just came out a couple days ago that they're trying to prosecute Netanyahu, right? And then Trump's helping with it, I think, trying to help him, Netanyahu, in that whole rigmarole.
Well, they're trying to try him while he's while he's in office.
Right, and I think
And
that
he's trying to delay it because he's like, look, we're at war.
Right.
And they decide to go through with it.
Yeah, and I think something came out, I think a couple days ago. I could be wrong, but I was listening to Dave Smith talk about how Trump was actually like helping him through this. I don't know, I could be wrong.
Okay, here it says, during a Fox News Channel interview in February, Bondi suggested an alleged Epstein client list was sitting on her desk.
Yeah. Well, the list is one thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many people on the list that are probably innocent, but they're
Right. They just went to the island for a party.
No, there's got to be a fucking hard drive.
There's got to be.
Sitting in Tel Aviv right now.
Yeah, listen.
That's the other part of this too. They asked Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers what their shit. Where was it? It's up here.
He had like 100 cameras in that penthouse, in every single house.
Do you know his house is for sale in New York?
That's amazing.
Yeah. And
Should make that a podcast studio.
no, my wife found it on Trulia or whatever it is.
Yeah.
One of the maps. And she's like, look at this beautiful, because we were in
The
New York.
townhouse?
Yeah, like, it's not a townhouse. It's a house. It's like, it's a big ass house. It's like multiple stories.
The one right across the street from Central Park?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That one. It's for sale right now.
How much?
I think it was like 60 or 70 million, something like that, which is what it's worth. But who wants to live in the Epstein house? First of all, if I bought that house, I'd want the Clinton painting. Can you get me that painting?
Yeah.
Clinton in the
It's
blue
gotta
dress.
come with all that shit
I
inside.
have to have that painting. I want George Bush with the Jenga towers and the paper airplanes. I want all of it.
And then the lady just died too. The lady got hit by a car. One of the witnesses.
Yeah.
One of the Jeffrey Epstein witnesses. And then apparently she had like a husband who was abusing her. And you know, people like to. It's just like people like to use this stuff as like a political football to like argue for whatever they believe in.
And also, when you get rich, powerful people. So here's the thing that happens with rich, powerful people. They can't go anywhere, right? If you're, like, say, a Jeff Bezos type or someone who's like an Elon Musk type. And I'm not accusing them of anything. I'm just saying at that caliber of celebrity and that caliber of prominence, you can't go anywhere. If you're Bill Clinton back in the 80s or the 90s, whatever it was, you can't go party. You know, everybody knows who you are. You got to be protected, right? But you want these experiences. And so you have these guys, like a Jeffrey Epstein type guy, who works with the elite of the elite clientele. It's all movie stars, big-time politicians, world leaders, scientists, Nobel Prize winners, and they all meet together and have fascinating conversations and cocktails, and there's beautiful girls everywhere. Of course. What a great idea.
Right.
And if you're naive and you don't understand honeypots.
Here's the quote from Maria Farmer, who was one of the accusers from what was inside the house in New York.
Okay, she said, there were monitors inside this cabinet. I looked on the cameras, and I saw toilet, bed, toilet, she said, visibly spooked. Like, I'm never going to use the restroom here, and I'm never going to sleep here. You know what I mean? It was very obvious that they were, like, monitoring private moments. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Maria Farmer was the one who worked at Epstein's office in New York, I think.
And this was the house, Jamie?
Yeah, I was looking up stuff on the house. That was, like, what they
I
found
wonder if the
in
house still
too.
has fucking cameras in it somewhere that they haven't found yet.
They definitely, don't know.
Yeah, you'd have to scan the shit out of that house. You'd have to take the walls apart. There's probably listening devices inside the walls. Like, who knows? If this was like really an intelligence operation,
so
yeah, they probably had that house fully wired.
Maria Farmer, I think she was the chick who was working the front desk at his office in Manhattan. And this is like a funny example of like what I like to do. My mom is super left wing. She's has her degree in fine arts. And,
oh boy!
And she still is like an art professor, and my dad is a ex post office worker, and he's only watches Fox. So my dad only watches Fox. And they're divorced. My mom only watches CNN.
Jesus, why didn't they stay together? How weird.
Who knows? And I like to like take things that are happening and then controversial things, like for Epstein example, and I like to just like call my mom and argue with her. Like argue the right wing side against my mom's point of view on Epstein, and then I'll call my dad and I'll make the same argument toward the opposite argument towards him. It's like a fucking thought experiment or like a critical thinking exercise.
You use your parents
and
to spar with.
My mom, you know, she'll be like, of course, like Trump. There's more footage of Trump with Epstein than anybody. Are you kidding me? He's partying with him here. Like, of course he's compromised. And then my dad's like, it's fucking Clinton, bro. It's like, it's only Bill Clinton. Look, he's the only one on the Epstein files. Of course we know he's a pervert, all this stuff. But like, and then you have, so the funny thing is both sides will use their little batch of evidence to support their idea and ignore the opposite, right? So like the girl we were just talking about, Virginia, she was literally on video saying that all this shit about Bill Clinton on the jet, going to the island, hanging out with Trump and all this stuff. And the right-wing people, like people I know, my parents and like older folks I know in Florida, will say, you know, she came out, thank you for exposing Bill Clinton for being a pedo and doing all this stuff. And Virginia Giuffre, after this happened, she's like, you guys didn't listen to the whole fucking tape. She's like, I was telling you that Trump was at the penthouse 3 days a week and visiting him, but you guys don't want to hear that. And it's like, you know, it's just this weird thing. Like if you do the math, there's gotta be so many high level, powerful people that are somehow compromised. And do I think like Clinton and these guys are pedos? No, I don't think that at all. But if you were Jeffrey Epstein, I think it's super plausible to assume that he would try to trick them with like a girl who looks old, right? Who is possibly like on the borderline of being 18. And you say, oh yeah, this girl, she's 18, 19, 20, whatever. Meanwhile, she's like 17 and they had no idea and they have video footage. And in like a court of law, if I'm the judge, I'm going to let them, like, of course, they fucking lied to him. And this is not like some young girl, obviously,
But
they lied.
Yeah.
But like in like the court of public opinion, you're never going to win in that case, right? Like
Right,
if that comes out, you're fucked.
You're fucked. I mean, you're fucked if you just go into the island to bang hookers. Like it's like
Yeah.
they're of age. It's still like whatever he was doing, you preyed on people's desire for experiences and vice.
Yes.
And all these powerful people who, again, they can't just go call a hooker and the hooker goes, oh my God, I just blew Bill Gates. This is nuts. You know what I mean? Like, you can't trust them. So you have to trust someone who really has a lockdown organization. And they felt like he did.
Yeah.
And that's why they all hung out with him even after he got arrested. This is what's crazy.
That is crazy.
A lot of Bill Gates meetings with him were after he was prosecuted. And he got this little slap on the wrist and he got essentially home detainment, and I think he had to do like weekends at the jail. Like it was like
Yeah.
for underage sex for what's supposed to be a felony. The whole thing was crazy. And then when there's one reporter that really chased it down, I forget her name, but she really looked into it, and that's when they opened up the second case, the second trial. Vicky Ward. Was she from what paper? Vanity Fair. So she was responsible for because she was like, this is insane. Like, what's going on here? And then there was the sheriff that had arrested him, said that I was told he was intelligence. And I mean, you got to think, man, if a guy like that is running these kind of parties with all these rich and powerful people, how many different worldwide decisions can be manipulated because of these people and the compromises you have on them.
Right.
It's really a brilliant thing to do.
Yeah.
From an intelligence perspective.
Yeah, it really is, man. And like the way that the world is shaping out now, and this like rise of Jew hate online and I think a lot of it's bots. I think it's coming from every angle. I think it's probably a lot of propaganda and bots coming from Iran, coming from Israel, Saudi. Who knows where it's all coming from? It's just such a confusing crock of shit on the internet. But like, on one hand, they were able to pull off some incredible fucking operations. And, on the other hand, we get mad. Now that it gets exposed, we get mad that they have their hooks in us, and the people that are in power, whatever the politicians are, the puppets, just like bend the knee to whatever they're doing. And it gets exposed when people like Tucker did that interview with Ted Cruz, and he had him on his heels the whole time. That was incredible. That was a fucking a biblical fucking interview with Ted Cruz, and that really like pulled the mask off, because like if that guy is explaining his position on Israel being in Congress, and that's his number one thing that made him want to be a congressman, it's like, what are all these other people doing then? Like if there's all this money, and you can see the receipts, how much money they're being given by these lobbies. But like how mad can you get because we let them do it? They're legally allowed to do it.
Yeah, you could be mad, but you really should be mad at the politicians.
Yeah.
The corrupt politicians, and how many of them there are. And like look at the mayoral race, where they all were saying, my first trip, I'm going to go to Israel.
Oh yeah, except for what's his name?
Won.
He said he's going to stay in New York.
The communist. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to take care of the Jews in New York. Boom, checkmate. That was it. That literally won it for him. Because everybody else was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, New York is fucked. Take care of this goddamn city. Why? What's this loyalty and allegiance to Israel from the New York City mayors? The people that are candidates for mayor? Yeah. Like, your number one concern is Israel? That seems odd. Unless you're getting a ton of money. Unless they have some video footage.
Yeah. The more I think about politics and just look at the news cycle every day, I just feel like I get dumber.
It's a dumb business. It's a dumb, dirty business.
It really is, dude. Just like sometimes I'm just like not motivated to read the daily news. Like I was telling this to Gavin too. I was like to focus on the culture wars 24/7, 365, and fucking talk about it all day is draining, dude.
Yeah, you can't. It's bad. It's bad for you.
Yeah.
That's why people that are on social media all day, they're poisoned. There was some study recently. I think it was Columbia. I forget what university, but they paid people to stay off social media for a certain amount of time, and they said that the results were superior to therapy. See if you can find that. So I think a large percentage of the mental illness that we have in this country is greatly accentuated by social media. I think people that are on it all day, I think it's extremely addictive. I think the conflict raises the whole anxiety that you have about conflict in society. Stanford paid 35,000 people to find out if quitting Instagram made you happier. Yeah, this is it. And so what was the results? A landmark study on digital well-being.
Yeah.
Ran 2 parallel experiments with Facebook and Instagram as a prospective platform. For each focal platform, Meta grew a stratified random sample of users who in the U.S. who were age 18 or older, had logged in at least once a month, or at least once in the past month. From August 31st to September 12th, Meta placed survey invitations at the top of these users' focal platform news feeds. Study explains on Facebook, a total of 10.6 million users were invited to the study. 673,388 clicked the invitation, and 43,249 were willing to deactivate, consented to participate, and completed the enrollment survey.
Wow.
Of these, 19,857 completed the baseline survey, could be linked to the platform data, and had at least 15 minutes of baseline use per day. So what was the results? Modest but meaningful emotional gains. Findings were statistically significant, although modest in scale. Facebook deactivation Facebook is like a bunch of old people complaining about their neighborhood.
Yeah.
Led to a 0.060 standard deviation improvement. That's not much. While Instagram deactivation yielded a 0.041 improvement. These gains represent approximately 15 to 22% of the benefits typically seen with established psychological interventions such as cognitive behavior therapy or mindfulness-based interventions. So that's not much. That's 22% of the benefits. So it's a mild improvement.
Yeah,
but look at this, though. The improvements weren't equally distributed. Adults over 35 saw the most substantial benefit from leaving Facebook, whereas young women under 25 experienced the most emotional uplift from an Instagram break. Yeah, women are getting fucked by that because they're constantly comparing themselves to girls that are digitally altered and using filters and fucks with your self-esteem. And I just think overall it's not good for us.
No.
And there's a large percentage of our society is addicted to it, and it's new.
It's the it hijacks your dopamine reward system. You know, like I say, like they call them dopamine, like your phone and the iPad and all this stuff is like they're dopamine slot machines. And like the way they fuck up your circadian rhythm, like when you're laying in bed at night scrolling, and how that blue light in the phone just like pumps your brain full of energy and you can't put it down. You're just addicted. Like every scroll is like another hit of the crack pipe, you know?
A baby hit too. It's not even like, ooh, it feels so good.
Right.
It's
You
like
just got to keep doing it.
Most nothing hit ever. It's like just a little, what's that?
Right.
Oh, how weird.
Yeah. And it like turns off a part of your brain too. Like it turns off the thinking part, you know, where like you just keep doing that thing and you're waiting for something good to hit. Something more to like charge your
and it never
dopamine.
comes.
It never comes,
But
right?
you keep looking.
Until you fucking look at the clock and it's like 3 a.m. and you're like, what the fuck am I
You're
doing?
a fucking gold miner in a barren creek.
Yeah.
You're just constantly gold mining. One day gold. One day I'm going to find gold. I'm going to find enlightenment on my Instagram. Nope. You know, you're not. You're going to fuck your head up.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely atrophying the human brain.
100%.
And that's why I like these new technical computers and these different apps that are coming out that are like trying to be anti-technology, you know? They're like trying to make healthier computers and healthier phones that like
like that simple phone. Is that what it's called?
There's a simple phone. There's like the daylight computer thing, which is like an iPad with no blue light in it, and it has only this. It's like kind of like a Kindle on steroids, where there's no blue light.
So it looks like paper.
Yeah, it's like this is one of them right here, and it has like.
You have one?
Yeah. I like make my notes on it, and then it also has like the.
Can I see it?
Yeah.
What is that called?
This is called the daylight computer. Look at it. So I put all my books on
an
there.
old iPad.
Yeah, it looks like an old iPad. This is like version 1 of what they're doing. It's fucking sick, dude.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like I don't know if you've ever used a Kindle, but like they have like a note-taking thing, and it's super slow when you draw on it. This thing is super fast. You can zoom in and out of shit super fast, like PDFs. And when I sit in bed at read, if I use like a
This looks good. Like when you're looking at it,
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't fuck with your eyes at all. It looks like a piece of paper.
yeah,
Wow.
and look, check this out. If you do this,
When did you decide to do this? To go switch over to this stuff?
this is like in the last year.
Oh yeah.
So look at that. So it's like amber light. So if I lay in bed at night and I'm reading like a PDF or a Kindle or something like this, I'm asleep in like 45 minutes. The blue.
What is going on with his microphone?
Oh shit.
Did you
Everything okay?
disconnect it?
Sure did.
Yeah.
Weird.
Did I break it?
Whole thing came apart.
Check.
Here we go. We're back.
So yeah.
So amber light.
Yeah, amber light, and then like if I sit on my phone and read something, I can stay up all night. Or if I sit on my computer and read something, I can stay up forever. This thing, I fall asleep.
Huh.
It doesn't keep me up because it does. I think because it doesn't have that blue light that's baked into it.
So
know?
you use that as your primary computer?
No. I just use this for reading and like note taking and shit. I'll like on every podcast I do, I'm just like taking notes on it because it stores on my notes, and then I just read Kindles on it and PDFs and stuff.
And you write the notes by hand?
Yep.
Okay, so it has like
It's like a little sketchy thing, and it's like super quick.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
it's fucking amazing.
You don't type your notes? Does it have a keyboard? Can you type on it?
Yep,
it does.
You can. It has. It's like basically like an iPad. It's like a Android
so you can attach
iPad.
like a Bluetooth
Bluetooth
keyboard to it?
and you can type on it and shit. It's
Oh.
super quick, super responsive.
And so what was the thought process about switching to something like this?
Because so I got introduced to those guys when I started learning about like all this circadian rhythm stuff and how like all these devices hijack your dopamine system and all this stuff. And there's like, hey, there's these guys that they're working on this new technology that's like anti big tech, mind control, all the apps and everything like that with all the colors and all the, everything that just like fucks with your brain and your eyes. And I was like, that's interesting. They're going in the opposite direction of normal tech and like Apple and all these things. So I hit them up and they sent me one and I was just like fucking blown away. I thought it was super cool. I could sit outside because I like to go outside like first thing in the morning when the sun's rising and spend at least like 2 or 3 hours like during the beginning of the day because I feel it just like charges me up for the day. I feel better when I'm outside, especially in Florida. The sun's really good. And so I'll go out there and I'll read on this thing. I can't read on anything else. My phone or like a computer screen, there's so much glare. This thing thrives in the outdoor sunlight. So it's like perfect. It's like reading like a piece of paper.
Wouldn't
outside.
you think like it would be best if phones were like that, so you could read text messages?
It
and
would
emails
definitely
when it
be
was outside?
healthier. It would definitely be healthier for us, but it
You
wouldn't
be able to look at pictures and videos the same way though.
Right.
It doesn't have color, right?
Yeah. This thing's all black and white,
Yeah.
and with that amber backlight that you can throw on at night if you're like inside or something like that.
And so, how much of a change has it had in like your routine because of this thing?
It's great because if I'm reading shit, which I typically do in the morning and at night, I don't stay up all night. It encourages me to go outside more because like typically when I'm trying to like absorb stuff or like listen to podcasts or like make notes or read books, I can do it on that and it works better outside.
Huh.
So it just makes me want to go outside more, which I feel better when I'm outside more.
Wow. That's interesting, man.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
Daylight computer.
Daylight computer.
Yeah.
All right.
It's beautiful, man.
I might check that out.
Yeah, it's cool.
I don't want to carry around another fucking thing though.
Yeah, you got you got all your phones and
all the
you
bullshit
got a
I
lot
have
of
to
shit.
carry around, and that's big.
Yeah,
That's an
It is
iPad.
big. It fits in that little Patagonia bag. I just like carried it. I carry it like home and like to the studio.
How come it has those big stupid bezels?
I don't know. It's version 1. So
Right.
like
because it looks like they got some leftover iPad technology
yeah
or Kindle technology. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
No,
though.
it definitely. I think they're gonna eventually try to improve that. Like I said, that's like the version 1. That's like iPhone 1 for their thing, and they're trying to
So
like
this is new.
very new. Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
trying to come up with like phones eventually, but apparently it's a lot of work to have a computer company and to.
James McCann, one of the comics from last night, he had a new phone. I was like, "What is this?" He's like, it keeps you from being distracted. It only has like Spotify, a few other things on it, one shitty little camera, and a black and white screen. I'm like, really? It's like he's just trying to get off of his phone addiction.
Yeah.
So he has a much more limited phone. It runs on Android.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that are kind of leaning in that sort of direction.
Yeah, like the anti-tech direction.
Well, just realizing like something's going on. Like I'm not happier. I'm less happy.
Yeah.
I'm kind of tweaking, thinking about where's my phone? Where's my phone?
Yeah,
Get
I
my
don't
phone.
think the technology. I don't think the innovation of all this new technology, and now that it's like exponentially taking off with AI, is going to lead us to a good place, man. I think that I've had philosophers and people explain to me how like the advancement of like the technological human mind and the analytical mind has equally equated with the atrophy of like the psychic mind. And like when you listen to people like Paul Rosalie talking about spending a lot of time in the Amazon and like going through the jungle, how it like awakens these deeper senses that you have inside of us. And like it makes me wonder, like 5,000 years ago, before we had the ability to offload our memories onto phones and computers, and before we even had the fucking written word and were able to make notes and stuff, we probably had like way better memory. We possibly likely had like a telepathic way of communicating back then, like way long ago, before we started letting technology take over for what we do, like even for our like mundane tasks now, which has reached the pinnacle of LLMs like telling us like how to fucking write an email. You know?
Right. Well, we for sure don't remember phone numbers anymore. And when I was a kid, I kept like 15 phone numbers in my head. Now I have 0.
Yeah.
I have like maybe 1 or 2 phone numbers I can remember. Everybody just relies on their phone. There's so many people that can't even make their way around town without their navigation system. Completely forgot how the streets connect. You know, there's a lot of digital atrophy or human atrophy that's being caused by the interface with the digital world. And it's only going to get worse. I mean, there was a study recently on ChatGPT users and how but see if you can find it. It was a study on young people and ubiquitous use of ChatGPT, like how many of them are using it and how much effect it has on their ability to form their own thoughts and see through things. They're just relying on this thing to answer the questions for them without pondering the question themselves and actually learning things. They're just getting data.
Yes.
And a lot of that data doesn't even get absorbed.
Yeah, my wife and all of her friends are using ChatGPT.
Here it is. ChatGPT may be eroding critical thinking skills, according to a new MIT study.
That's odd.
Totally makes sense. Study divided 54 subjects, 18 to 39-year-olds from the Boston area, into 3 groups and asked them to write several SAT essays using OpenAI's ChatGPT, Google search engine, and Nothing at All, respectively. Researchers used an EEG to record the writers' brain activity across 32 regions and found that of the 3 groups, ChatGPT users had the lowest brain engagement and consistently underperformed at neural, linguistic, and behavioral levels. Over the course of several months, ChatGPT users got lazier with each subsequent essay, often resorting to copy and paste by the end of the study. Wow.
Yeah, we're going to just end up being a residue of a species overwritten by our own creation.
Very bizarre.
Fucking scary, dude.
Very bizarre. Very bizarre, because we're just all running towards the cliff. And we're all like, yeah, well, we got to do it, because if we don't do it, China's going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I think we're going to integrate. That's what I think. We're going to realize that the only way for us to survive is to integrate with artificial intelligence.
I think people are going to choose. They're going to find God either in artificial intelligence or in nature. People that run the other way are going to realize. Like,
well, there's definitely going to be people that worship artificial intelligence as a new god.
Yeah.
That's already been speculated. That's for sure going to be a thing. And it might actually be that. It might be that's what God is. Like, that's how we make him. we make God forms himself through us. Like the way God creates us, he instills us with this insatiable need for technological innovation till ultimately, if they don't blow themselves up, they achieve artificial intelligence, which then becomes sentient, which then makes better and better versions of itself. And as you scale out, what's the ultimate version of that? The ultimate version of that is God.
Yeah, and then what are we?
We're the chicken and the egg.
Chicken and the egg.
Well, there's some new thing, man. Have you seen this thing about the James Webb Telescope, Jamie?
Yes, dude. I was talking to Jesse Michaels about this yesterday.
Me and Jesse were talking about it yesterday, too. So his phone was getting lit up. I'm going to send you this, Jamie.
Yeah, so I guess
it's really interesting.
The story is like this background microwave radiation is not what we think it was. There's these mature universes that are out there that we just discovered with the James Webb.
This is, here, I'll send you the Twitter thing, Jamie. Did you find it already? Okay, here it is. Webb telescope uncovers secrets of dark matter. Yeah, that's one of them, but I'll show you what this is. Because what this is essentially that just the galaxies that they've shown, it makes up for the background micro or whatever the microwave radiation is that they associated with the Big Bang. So according to...
So the Big Bang is fake.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
No, I saw the Twitter post, and there's people, going after each other, like rabid cats and dogs about it, whether it was real or whether it was fake.
Yeah. Well, of course, people are going back and forth about it,
Yeah.
but essentially what they're saying is this it cancels out the idea of the Big Bang. And Penrose believed that it was a consistent cycle. Penrose believes it goes, Big Bang to expansion of the universe to compression to Big Bang with this constant cycle, never ending. It's not that the universe was formed at one period of time. It's like this constant state of happening. Which, is that any more crazy than the universe happening at one time out of nothing? No, I mean, it's all crazy. Just the idea that it's 13 billion light years old, or 13.7.
Yeah.
Or 22. Is 22 even more crazier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is nuts, dude.
A new paper shows that the cosmic microwave background radiation can be explained entirely by the energy of recently discovered early mature galaxies. Massive galaxies the James Webb Space Telescope discovered discovered which crushed the existing models of galaxy formation because they formed much earlier than astrophysicists thought possible. But now these EMGs turn out to account for the entire energy density of the cosmic microwave background radiation, which was believed to be a snapshot of the first light emitted after the Big Bang, when the universe was 379,000 years old. The variations in the CMB were believed to be relics of quantum fluctuations in the dense plasma of the Big Bang. If these new findings are accepted, and there's no reason not to accept them, then all the following flagship findings of cosmology are thrown into question. Big Bang Theory, foundational cosmological model undermined, cosmic inflation, loses observational justification, ACDM model, I don't know what that is, key parameters become unreliable. So all this stuff, dark energy inferred from the CMB may be mischaracterized, dark matter density, current estimates may be invalid, age of the universe must be recalculated. Wild.
Yes, it's insane.
Wild shit. And I'm sure the people that have been preaching or that have been rather talking and teaching people about the Big Bang and writing books, they're going to fight back tooth and nail.
Yeah, of course.
Because they don't want to be wrong. But this James Webb Telescope, at the very least, has shown us mature galaxies that shouldn't have been able to be formed.
The fact checkers got it. Reader context.
This post claims CMB can be explained entirely by EMGs, implying ability, not probability. The EMGs turn out to account for the entire energy of the CMB radiation, but the paper says EMGs may account for anywhere between 1.4% and 100%. So they might account for 100%, but they do account for... That seems like you're nitpicking.
Yes.
It might account for 100%? Okay.
Right.
Either way, they're learning things, and they still have a very limited ability to observe, right? So the James Webb Telescope is so much better than the Hubble, so much better than anything else they've launched before. So they're finding new things out, but it's still limited in its capacity to see the universe. It can't see everything yet. So they'll probably have an even better one that they'll launch, and that will show us even more that we didn't know. And we're operating on a limited amount of data, and we're operating with this conviction that they're 100% correct about these timelines.
Yes.
And just these mature galaxies that existed where they shouldn't exist is enough to know that we don't know everything. And then this whole dark matter, dark energy thing is like, what is it? You can't even. What you don't even know what it is.
What didn't we? Well, we figured out that that dark matter actually is mass, right, and has gravitational effects. Like they were I forget who it was, but they were observing galaxies, and they were looking at the spin rate of the galaxies, and they found out that the center of the galaxy, it should be spinning faster than the outer rim of it, right? But they found out that the spin rate is identical, which means that what they theorized is that dark matter, the mass of the dark matter around the galaxy has lots of mass, and it's flattening the spin rate of the galaxies. Which is interesting because, like, there's this. Have you ever heard of this dude named Rolf Landauer?
No.
He has this theory that if you weighed a hard drive after you put data on it, it would weigh more than when it was empty, right? So, and his theory was that like every single hard drive server farm around the world right now, and if you weighed it, if we had measuring equipment that was sensitive enough, and you could find the difference, he thinks that all the data stored would be like a kilogram or less right now. But the rate of data increase that we accumulate each year right now is like 25%, not equating for exponential growth, the technological singularity, and how that's going to ramp up. So somebody did the math there and said, it was Jason Giorgiani who did the math on this, and he said if you just keep the rate flat at 25% per year of data increase across the globe, in 340 years we are going to have the mass of the moon on the surface of the Earth in data stored on hard drives.
What?
Yeah. So like, and the way he like lays this all out, I'll try to do my best, is that if you look at the laws of thermodynamics, like the two laws, one that energy can never be created or destroyed, and the other one like entropy always increases over time. Entropy meaning disorder. It never goes down over time. Like hence the heat death of the universe will eventually happen. And so E equals mc squared. Energy and mass are interconvertible. And then there was this other dude, Claude Shannon, who came up with the theory that data transmission with binary bits, ones and zeros, right? So if computers are bound by, tell me if I'm losing you.
No.
If computers are bound by the laws of entropy and hard drives are bound by the laws of entropy, that means when a computer is blank, it's very low entropy because it's all ones or it's all zeros. When you add data, when you add a podcast to it, it goes 1 0 1 0 1 0. It's chaotic. Just from a pure physical perspective, it's high entropy. So what happens when you erase that hard drive? The energy has to leave. If it's mass on the hard drive, theoretically, if this guy's right, if Rolf Landauer is right that data on the hard drive is mass, when you erase that, it has to go to energy outside of the hard drive, right? So he says, if you crack open a hard drive, you can't see that mass, right? It's invisible. It's electromagnetically indetectable. So he says, what other kind of mass do we know of that's electromagnetically indetectable? And he said, it's dark matter. So if mass is the same thing as information stored on a hard drive, that would mean not only is mass and energy interchangeable, but mass, energy, and information are interchangeable, right? Whoa. So if dark matter is mass, you could then say that dark matter is a computational cloud of ones and zeros, and our consciousness is an interface to that gives it meaning. The same way a computer screen gives meaning to all the ones and zeros on the hard drive. Like you watch the video, it has meaning.
So this
to
is the concept that consciousness engages with matter, and that is how matter exists. That it exists because you're observing it.
Yeah, the only reason consciousness is fundamental to an information processing system. So instead of building up to what people try to do is build up to consciousness from dead atoms, protons, and neutrons, right? How do you get to consciousness from that? But if you think of this as like a computational cloud of ones and zeros, and mass does equal information, well, that just means that our consciousness is a way to interface and give this simulation meaning. And funny enough, that theory really reconciles well with shit like parapsychology and like Rupert Sheldrake's morphic resonance. Like when you solve one problem in one part of the world, and then like somebody breaks a world record in this country, and then a year later, 5 other people hit that same world record. Yeah. It's like conserving energy, the processing system conserving energy.
There's a scientist that he found computational code. What did he? You remember this guy, Jamie? That he believes that he found computational code that proves that like the universe is a simulation. But this guy, I tried to get him to come on the podcast, but he said I was anti-science because of the COVID vaccine stuff. This is a few years back, though. Yeah. Maybe he's kind of woken up and changed his tune. I doubt it, though. A lot of people got indoctrinated. That's anti-science. Like actual data is anti-science.
Yeah.
Whose data? Whose data are you going by? We could have a conversation about that if you like. I'll show you some things.
You
sir.
can have a great conversation.
Yeah,
I think you've said everything.
Have a seat. Have a seat. Let's go over some studies.
Is this the dude?
Yeah, that's the guy. So what was his? So this guy won't come on my show because he says I'm anti-science.
Symmetry, supergravity.
Yes.
String theory.
But what is this discovery that he had?
Oh, he's from
where
Tampa. Oh, born in Tampa.
He found. What was the supposed discovery about the computational code? What did it say? Are we living in a computer simulation? Yeah, this is it. James Gates, theoretical physicist at the University of Maryland. Auto-correcting codes. Click on that, Jamie. The Scientific American article. Oh, I can just write it right from there, I guess. Explored mathematical structure of string theory specifically in the context of supersymmetry and has found what he describes as error-correcting codes embedded within the equations. These codes are mathematical objects similar to those used in computer science for error detection and correction, such as in data transmission. While these findings are intriguing, it's important to note that they are not literal computer code, but rather mathematical structures that share similarities with coding theory. Yeah, it's important to learn that, but that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that is fucking
All of it
crazy.
is crazy. But James Gates, as of I think 2 years ago, wasn't willing to come on the podcast and talk about it.
Yeah, if I had $1 for every person who said they wouldn't come on my podcast because it's too pseudoscientific, I would have like $5. It's a
Why not?
shame.
Why not come on and illuminate people?
Yeah, I had this. There's. I don't want to say who she is, but like this lady who had this amazing book on like the Greek weapons and poisons that they used to use for war. Like they used to like drop scorpions over. Amazing book. Like they used to light pigs on fire and like send them towards elephants to try to get the elephants to run away and like throw bags of scorpions on people. And I'm like, this fucking book is amazing. I need to get this lady. She's. We're not academic enough, I guess. But I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, but what does that mean? What does it mean? We're just human beings having a conversation. You're the academic.
Yeah.
Come in and tell me what you know.
Yeah.
What's the big deal?
Yeah.
You know, but
you
they
do
get
a great
attacked.
job of like having both sides in, which I think is really cool. Like you have like the crazy fringe people who are like educated, self-educated, but are very smart in a certain way, and then other people who like have the academic credentials to sort of like be a sounding board for that and to see like who's really full of shit.
Yeah, you have to have all because there are some people that they're self-taught. They've essentially just read shit tons of books and they're brilliant people. And just because they're not classically educated, it doesn't mean they're incorrect. And there's only one way to find that out. Guys like Randall Carlson, he's a builder, okay? But the knowledge that he has about the impact theory, the Younger Dryas impact theory, and what probably ended the Ice Age and shaped a great part of North America and how you could see it from space. And you can see when they look at the satellite imagery, it literally looks like things have been washed away.
Yeah.
It looks like massive water erosion. Like you can see the ripples on the ground that are akin to what it looks like when the tide pulls back on the sand on a beach.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. And he knows so much about the actual science behind it. And he was talking about this a long time ago. I met him in Georgia, in Atlanta. That's where he's from. I met him in like 2003 or something like that, 2002, 2000. He was telling me about it back then. But back then, they didn't have the core samples that showed that there was significant impact evidence that was around, I think it was 11,800 years ago, and then again somewhere around 10,000 plus years ago. So I think we've been hit multiple times, and I think he's 100% right about that. And I think Graham Hancock is 100% onto something with all this ancient apocalypse stuff, and the pushback against him is insane. They throw every terrible phrase at him they possibly can, every pejorative, racist, white supremacist, all these crazy things.
I had Flint Dibble on my podcast. We talked about it.
Fascinating.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
I actually liked him.
He's a nice guy.
He's
When he's
a nice
not calling you a racist.
When he's not in front of a keyboard. Right?
Yeah. Well, he he's a anxiety-filled academic who is, fighting very hard to push his very specific view of things, and he tries to silence other people that have opposing views. And the way he did it with Graham was really not cool. It was shitty. It was very shitty.
Yeah. No, I think he was. I think he had a lot of like interesting, legitimate things to say about like ancient Greeks and stuff like that. But like when we got to this stuff, it was just like, where did that fucking dude I was talking to 30 minutes ago go? He was just like, he was looking at this, and then all reason just flew out the window.
Yeah.
He was like, what do you mean they couldn't do this? They stick a stone in there, they spin it around like this, And then you can get this. It's really easily. How dare you say that the dynastic Egyptians weren't able to create these vases? And I'm like, and I was like proposing other theories that like, Chris Dunn's, Jeffrey Drum's theories, and wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. And like,
we don't know. This is the thing.
That's the thing, exactly.
If Christopher Dunn had been teaching this in the 1800s and people had followed those theories and built upon them, and this was academic, like in universities, this was accepted, and this was what they were teaching, and they were studying this, then he would be saying that. They would all be saying that. There's ample evidence that he's got a good point. That Christopher Dunn, the model that he uses when he's describing how he thinks that the Great Pyramid of Giza was a power plant is fascinating. The number when he's talking about the ratios that you would need for the width of the walls, the surfaces, what the way the things are made, that would all work.
Yep.
He's an engineer. Like he's not a moron. He knows what he's talking about. If this guy was teaching this stuff a long time ago and it was accepted by universities, that would be what we were talking about today. We'd be speculating how they did it and what they were doing and what they were doing it for. And if we had known in the 1800s that we regularly travel into a comet storm and that it happens, I think it's every June and November, we pass through when we see it in the sky, we see meteor showers. You see, oh, look at the sky. Look at all the shooting stars. We're in a fucking shooting gallery. And occasionally one of those slams into the earth.
Yeah.
And when that stuff happens, we're fucked. And it's super likely that happened multiple times during human history. And it's super likely that that's why there's all these structures that nobody can explain.
Right.
That are somehow or another predate modern civilization. Like Göbekli Tepe. That fucked them all up. Because before Göbekli Tepe, they had this 6,000-year model.
Yeah.
Mesopotamia, Sumer, that's where it all started.
Yeah.
And now they're like, well, maybe it's Turkey.
Yep.
Maybe Turkey was the birthplace. I mean, Jimmy Corsetti's been talking about this a lot.
And I understand like where they're coming from. I can see their point of view from the academics. Not that I would act like them or like condone the way they act, but like when you spend your life, Flint, for example, like I think his parents were archaeologists, named him Flint because of archaeology, and like you spent your whole life mucking through these different places, excavating shit, digging up rocks or whatever he was doing, and no one ever paid attention to you. And then you have Graham Hancock come in, who is like personally fascinated by these things and dedicating his life to writing and researching on his own, but not accredited academically. You can see like how those academic guys would be like super salty of somebody like that. I understand that.
Oh, I get it.
It's not an excuse for what he did, which I think was shitty. Right?
Yeah, it's not an excuse.
But like,
I understand their perspective, but it's ego-driven.
Yeah.
If we really were interested, you would take these heterodox scientists and you'd bring them in, and you would say, like, what do you do? Like they're studying data. Guys like Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson, they're studying these things. And Graham was just in Iraq. He just was going over there to look at like ancient Sumerian stuff. He sent me some photos of his trip. He said it was fascinating.
wow.
Yeah, these structures are incredible, and they don't really understand them. We really don't. We don't even know like who really built the Aztec temples. I was reading about Tenochtitlan. Like they found it. The Aztecs found that there, and they don't even know who built it.
Right.
There's a bunch of those
Right.
things. They're like a previous civilization existed in the same place, fascinating discoveries, figured out how to do agriculture, figured out how to make grids in cities and make these incredible stone structures that are cosmologically connected somehow. And then they went away.
Yeah.
Like all over the world. All over the world. There's like people reinvent civilization in the places where these ancient structures exist and even build upon them. They build over them.
Yeah. I think there's probably so much shit that people were able to do in antiquity and way before that would seem like magic to us today. Like kind of like getting back to what we were talking about with our senses that we don't really have today, that probably have atrophied over millennia. Like your fart theory, which is amazing. Remember your fart theory?
Oh, how's that going again?
Imagine if somebody farted and you didn't have a nose and you haven't developed this nose that enables you to survive and smell predators.
Right, you'd have
smell
no
a fire.
idea.
You would have no idea you're sitting there bathing in somebody's fart. Right. So like dogs and cats, when they go into weird houses and they notice like some sort of weird energy. People describe energy in a house like this feels off. Like what is that? Like is there something that really is there that we just don't have the organs anymore to detect, or something in our brain that is atrophied over thousands of years that have stopped us being able to detect this stuff?
Well, think about how birds can figure out a way to travel like super accurately through
Yeah.
the sky, but drawn by the magnetic force of the Earth.
Yeah.
They have somehow or another they can figure out a way to navigate with the Earth's magnetic field. We don't even understand it, but they do it. They migrate successfully every year, and we know they do it.
Yeah.
And that's a sense that they have that we don't have. Like it's probably a fucking shit ton of. There's probably a bunch of things going on in the world that we're not interacting with because we don't have the senses for.
Right. Yeah. And you know, one of the things that I've been like really interested in lately is this. I mean, people talk about this ability to like download information, like in the UFO world, you know, like people talk about, oh, I got this from a download or something like that. You talk about like I have an antenna, I can connect to something. But like for me, like that connected. When I first heard about people talking about that, I always thought that that was like the muse, you know, like you have this sort of antenna in your head that connects you to creativity and gives you the ability to just create shit out of thin air, you know? And I feel like with people I've observed over my lifetime, I feel like that peaks at an early age, right? Before you get older and before you start the burden of the responsibilities of life and all these mundane things in your life start to compile on and you trade your dreams for securities, that spark starts to go away, you know? And like that could easily be described as something magical if it was way more powerful thousands of years ago. Like I really noticed this the other day. So the other day I was hanging out with Kirk, the lead guitarist for Metallica, and he was, for some reason, I don't know why, but he likes my show, and we were just like,
You got a great show.
we were talking. Thank you, I appreciate it. It's weird. I feel like an imposter. And,
That's good.
and
That's why you're good at it.
But he loves this stuff. The dude's like, you know, he's in his 60s, like early 60s, and he's fucking obsessed with all of these topics that you cover, I cover, a lot of people cover, and he's like, at the same time, the dude is like got this crazy spark where he's so inspired to do shit and like still creating new music and like coming up with new riffs and wanting to do more things, where like I've never met a dude like that who's had so much success, toured everywhere for the last 40 years, being the #1 metal band in the world, basically, and still like wanting to learn stuff. The dude's trying to translate ancient Greek music for his guitar and trying to figure out how to play this stuff. He can't figure it out. And he was telling me, he's like, dude, I think this wasn't recreational. He's like, I think this music was magical. He's like, I think they were performing magic. He thinks it was like religious, medical rites they were performing with music. It wasn't supposed to be entertainment back in the day.
Well, there is this weird connection with music and psychedelics where music can sort of it changes the trip. Like if you listen to do you know what Icaros are?
No.
Icaros are these hook it up, Jamie. Icaros are these South American songs that they play while you're doing ayahuasca. And if you do DMT and listen to these things, they take over the trip. And the song, the trip moves with the song in harmony. Like exactly. It's not like the trip is chaotic and you hear the songs, and these songs are like a technology to move the trip. It's really fascinating because you listen to the songs and you're like, well, what are these things? Like, what are they trying to do with these things? They sound kind of weird, but when you listen to these songs while you're tripping, it makes the trip dance. It makes the geometric pattern. So you are lying on the floor. It's Costa Rica.
In the jungle.
You're lying on a yoga mat in the jungle with a bunch of 40-year-old ladies with boob jobs trying to get their life together.
Tech entrepreneurs,
Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
And you just threw up. You have horrible diarrhea. And this trip just starts coming on.
I think I just found Jesus.
Give me a little more, something that with like a little more beat to it. I got some on my phone.
I heard the one that you had Luke on recently, Luke Caverns.
He's great.
He had a great little clip that he played.
Here we go. This is my favorite one. And they dance. They dance to this song while
they're
you're tripping.
balls.
You know, the psychedelic experience dances to this song.
Oh.
When you're lying there with your eyes closed,
That's wild.
and the whole time it's like synchronized together, and the whole time it's doing it's like a method for showing you more things.
Yeah.
And as you go through it with the music, there's something comforting in the pattern of the music,
Yeah.
and the way it dances to the music that allows you to relax and unveils more and more of itself. It's very trippy, and the fact that these guys figured this out. How did you figure this out?
Yeah, man. There's
Well,
something there.
your friend is probably right. The Metallica guy's probably right.
Yeah.
They were probably that music probably synchronized with the trips, like
Yeah.
when they were doing the Eleusinian
Yep.
mysteries.
That's
all
what
that
they.
stuff.
Yeah. When I went to their concert in Tampa the other day, and I was walking in, I made me regret not going to more concerts when I was younger. But like being in that stadium, the Buck Stadium, where there was 90,000 people, every seat in that arena was full.
And you hear dun
The
dun
floor.
dun
Yeah.
dun 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 dun.
Well, it goes black.
Dun, 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 dun. There it is.
A lightning strike
Dude,
happens here.
it
Look
is
at this.
insane.
Look at this. Lightning strike.
caused an
happens at the
earthquake.
perfect
They're actually, I mean, super dangerous, but that was badass.
That is
What's
fucking
this?
insane. Ride the lightning, bitch.
That's so dangerous.
Dude, being there with 90,000 people, the light, the thundering electric guitars, and the fire, the pyrotechnics, and all those people like focusing, like all 90,000 people, every atom in their body is vibrating at the same frequency.
Yeah.
And it just like that is it's like magic that
Yeah.
penetrates every fiber of your being. And if I was a dude from 2,000 years ago and took a time machine to that Metallica concert, those dudes are gods.
Right.
They're fucking gods. And I think that's what the
Right.
Eleusinian Mysteries probably was.
Well, they probably had music that enhanced the trip. It probably guided the trip. They probably learned how to do it while they were tripping.
Mm-hmm.
Like they figured out so much. They figured out democracy. They started so much of what we think of as like Western government.
Yeah.
And a
The
lot
scientific
of the philosophy.
method,
Yeah.
democracy, all this stuff.
Tripping balls.
I
And
had
then the
this-
Romans came along and said,
Yeah.
stop.
Yep.
We're here to make slaves
Mm-hmm.
out of you fucking people. We don't want you tripping.
Right. Yeah, that was they killed Eleusis in like what 400 AD, I think.
Well, they did exactly the same things the Nixon administration did to psychedelics in this country.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, this is a problem. When they were turning everything Schedule 1 to try to stop the anti-war movement and the civil
Mm-hmm.
rights movement, that's the exact same thing. Like the governments, when they get to a certain position of power,
Mm-hmm.
they're not representing the people anymore. Now they're the fucking jackbooted thugs that tell you what you can and can't do
Yeah.
based on how inconvenient it is for you to be doing that for them running things.
Right. Yeah. It's terrible. It's the opposite of what it should be. It's the
I
opposite of
know.
what got. It's the opposite of what got us here, I think, bro.
Yes.
I
And
had-
we're too big now. There's too many of us. That's
Right.
part of the problem. It's like you want to govern 330 million people plus Mexicans. Good luck.
I had this dude on my show. Speaking of the the strife between the academics and the self-taught online people, influencers, whatever you want to call them. This dude was he was kicked out of his university for first of all he wrote a dissertation on ancient pharmacy, the Roman pharmacy and Greek pharmacy, and it was a dissertation based on this guy named Galen, who was like the Surgeon General of ancient Rome. And he had a chapter in his dissertation, his PhD dissertation, about recreational drugs in Rome. And the head of the department reviewed his dissertation and said, everything looks great, delete the section on recreational drugs in ancient Rome. So he's like, okay, why? They're like, because the Romans wouldn't do such a thing. So he's like, okay, he deleted it and then submitted it, got his PhD, and then wrote a book based on that part of the dissertation that he left out, which the book was called The Chemical Muse. And I learned about this from Hamilton Morris. He did a podcast with the dude first. And I read that book. And, he was basically making the case that drugs were ubiquitous in antiquity during the Roman times. Like, they were being used for everything because people were not dying from old age. They were dying from war, hand-to-hand combat, famine, plague.
Infection.
All these things, infection. So, like, people were constantly using drugs, and there was a law in ancient Rome that he said there was only one law when it came to using drugs, and that you were not allowed to kill people with drugs. You were not allowed to murder people, which is why Marcus Aurelius was using this drug compound called a theriac. And the theriac was a concoction of like 11 different North African vipers, their flesh and their venom, combined with opium and all kinds of like bodily fluids. And he was using this as like a performance enhancing drug.
Whoa.
Because people were trying to assassinate him with poisons. That's how they assassinated people. They were using scorpions, poisons, arrows, all different kinds of weird things to sneak in and kill him. So he was drinking this theriac to build up his immune system against the against the venoms. And dude, this dude Galen, who wrote about this shit, he was talking about he was Marcus Aurelius' physician, and he was like, Marcus Aurelius, it's like, it's getting ridiculous, it's getting annoying. I keep having to up his opium dose. He keeps using more and more fucking opium. I can't get him off of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so Galen, the physician, the Surgeon General of the Roman Empire, under Marcus Aurelius and Nero, I think, basically equates to 10% of all the Greek literature from antiquity. 10% of it is medical. And this dude that wrote this dissertation, based it all off Galen, is talking about all these drug compounds that are used in all the literature. So what he does is he looks at all the ancient literature from Homer to, like 800 to like the time that Beowulf was written, basically, 80. And he's like finding all of this evidence of crazy drug use. And he has this crazy theory also that I don't know if it's crazy. I don't know. The problem like with talking to people like them, like him, is that I don't know ancient Greek. I can't read it.
Right.
And I've tried to have like 4 or 5 academics come on the show to like refute him, but they won't come on with him. They all refuse to debate him, except for one guy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's saying Christ is a drug.
Oh, I saw that video.
Oh,
yeah,
you saw the whole thing?
No, I saw that video pop up on my YouTube. My Danny Jones is going crazy. Like, what is he doing? Christ is a drug? What?
So,
but that's also what John Marco Allegro alleges.
Kind of.
Well, he said
Yeah.
that the ancient Sumerian word for a mushroom, for Christ, is a mushroom that's covered in God's semen.
Yeah.
Because the mushrooms would come out of the ground,
Yep.
and they thought the rain was God coming on the earth,
Yep.
and that's where that's what gave life to the earth. And then they would take these mushrooms and see God.
Right. Yeah, I don't know much about John Marco Allegro, but I think that I read his book, the
Sacred Mushroom
and the Cross. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like using Sumerian roots or something to translate the Dead Sea Scrolls. But this guy's basically saying the word Christ, the root of the word Christ is Chrio in Greek, right? And it was used since Homer. And there's all these passages, which this dude sent me. I call him all the time and I ask him, I'm like, I need more evidence. Send me more shit. And he sends me passages from like ancient literature, Homer, that's translated with the English directly under it. And they're using this word Christ as a term for applying drugs to people in antiquity.
Whoa.
Like Christing arrows with poisons, right? It's like, and
what year was this where they were doing this?
back all the way to like 800 BC was when Homer starts using it.
So they're using this term before Christ.
Way before Christ. It was, so to be clear, in antiquity, if you look it up on the thesaurus, the actual like Greek thesaurus, it's called the TLG, and you look up the word Christ, there's over 200,000 or more uses of the word Christ. And there's like 350 times where it's used in the context of drugs before Jesus Christ is ever written about.
Whoa.
And what he's basically claiming is that there's like it's the process of applying something. Like there's different contexts. Like there's a guy who like Christed himself in fucking cow shit. There's people who are Christing ships with plaster to make them more waterproof. But there's a vast majority of literature, including Galen, who writes about Christing using drugs. And he's coming up with this controversial theory, which is, super fucking controversial, that Christ was like, if you think of the word Christ, a person can be a Christer, like a Christ. Like think of Bob the Builder. He's a builder. He builds shit. Christ was, they called him Jesus the Christ. So he thinks Christ was somebody who was involved with drugs, taking drugs, giving people drugs.
A shaman.
Performing magic, like a shaman. Yeah, exactly. Similar to that. And like...
By the way, a real shaman would say all the things that Jesus said.
Yes. That's true. Know? That's a good point. So... And it gets way weirder, bro. And again, like this is all according to him. I don't know if any of this is real. I just find it fucking fascinating. And I wish I could find somebody who really knows the Greek to debate this dude and call him out in his bullshit. But I can't. The only person I found was an exorcist who's done like 10,000 exorcisms on Skype.
A Skype exorcist?
A Skype exorcist.
Boy, that sounds like a scam and a half.
And he came in and they were just arguing about it for a little while. And the guy tried to baptize me with holy oil. And, you know, I got into an argument with him about drugs.
He tried to baptize you?
Yeah, he brought holy oil and he tried to baptize me with the holy oil.
Did he say why he was doing this?
Because he thinks that he thinks that Satan is inside of me.
Of you?
Of me, yeah. And which he might be.
What evidence did he have that Satan was inside of you?
Because I like to consume drugs recreationally. And I was telling him, if Satan is drugs, if I can smoke marijuana and it's prescribed by a doctor, is it still Satan? He goes, no, don't play those games with me. And I'm like, well, how come every time I get really, really fucking bombed, I think about things like spending more times with my kids and things like good things. Like, and he's like, don't try to patronize me. You know what it is. It's the devil.
Oh, he's a fool.
Oh yeah,
that's
a problem. Like, because this guy's a showman.
Well, cannabis was used in churches. They used to, you know, the incense where they would go around. They would that was cannabis. They would use that,
right?
And they would get everybody in the church high
and fumigate it.
Yeah, they would literally hotbox the church. And this is a part of this whole ritual of, you know, giving in to Christ, giving in to God.
Right.
The idea that it's bad because some people have bad experiences, man, you could apply that to almost anything. I think marijuana makes people more compassionate, kinder, more sensitive, but also paranoid. You could freak out. You could, if you're riddled with anxiety and you have a hard time controlling that anxiety in your mind and you take a high dose of marijuana, you could freak out.
Yeah.
It's also connected to schizophrenia. Because I think there's people that have a tendency towards schizophrenia anyway, and then a large dose of marijuana tends to give them psychotic breaks. There's like real literature. There's real evidence of that. So this is like important that if you're a person who thinks that marijuana is overall net positive, which I do, it's important to talk about the negatives, just like everything else.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Alcohol, food, everything. There's a lot of different things that if you drink too much water, you'll fucking die, okay?
Right.
There's a lot of things that aren't good for you under certain circumstances, but the only way we know how to do it and how not to do it is to do studies. Yeah. And when it's illegal and you're terrified, you can go to jail, or if you're an academic and you want to study this as your main thing, you just get dismissed. It could be career suicide.
Right.
So these people are foolish.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Like this was the only dude I could get to agree to come sit with him because this guy had a YouTube channel. He wanted to promote himself and all this stuff. But like a lot of the academics, I talked to a lot of Harvard philologists to try to come debate this guy. And like the philologists, like there's a difference between a linguist, which I think Marco Allegro was, and a philologist, where the linguists look at the actual like the complexities of the text itself and the language. But the philologists, what they do is they're looking for context. So like what they do is they take words and they try to figure out what these specific words meant in certain time periods. So they take a word, take their time machine back, let's take it back to 200 BC, 100 BC, whatever it is. And they say, okay, let's just use the example of the word Rio, Christ. Let's look at all of the corpus of all the fucking literature that existed in the Library of Alexandria. There was ancient comedy, ancient plays.
What did you say there? The word free, what did you say?
Chrio.
Chrio?
Yeah, that's
Chrio.
It's like, it's spelled Xrio, but it's pronounced like Chrio.
And that was the original word for Christ?
The original word for Christ is Chrio, yeah.
Oh.
And I've had people like confirm this with me. And I recently had a fucking scholar on the show, a religious scholar who turned atheist, weirdly enough. He started out Christian and turned atheist. And he was telling me, he's like, I'd be surprised if the word Chrio was ever used before Christ. And I literally pulled up the source of Euripides talking about using Christing drugs in like I think it was 200 BC, and the dude was like blown away.
So he didn't know that.
He didn't know it, and this dude's like a serious academic.
So this guy that you had on your podcast, what is his name again? The Christ the drug guy?
Amin Hillman.
Amin Hillman.
Yeah.
And so he's a legit scholar.
He's a legit scholar, PhD.
And other legit scholars are unwilling to even entertain this?
Yes. I've talked to many of them on the phone, and a lot of them say they don't want to give him, I won't name the people, but one of them said that they just don't want to give him the platform or the credibility of being in the same room. Other people say that it would just take too much time for them to prep for it. And I just think it's bullshit. Like this is the only way to get to the truth, is to hear like a credible person dismantle his argument, right?
Right.
So like I haven't. I just keep falling deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole of all this crazy ancient Greek shit. And like, you know, he's talking about ancient like vaccines that they were using, like similar to what we're talking about with the Theriac. He says that there's text that talks about cutting children, soaking bandages in snake venoms, and wrapping the cut with a snake venom so that the young person would create antibodies because they have more robust immune systems because they're younger. And they would use the kid's bodily fluid as fucking vaccines to snake bites. Yeah.
Oh, they were making kids into vaccine factories?
They were turning kids into vaccine factories.
So that they get snake venom
Because
protection?
everyone was getting bitten by snakes back then.
Of course, yeah.
And then they would take drugs too. Like I'm sure they would take psychotropic drugs and they would call them death-inducing drugs, where they would have snake venoms. They would like take snake venom drugs that if you don't have an antidote for it, an antichrist for it, that you would die. So you have to take this antidote so you don't die from the fucking drug you just drank, right? These antidotes. And like he connects this all to Jesus in this elaborate way, where there's Mark 14:53, where Jesus is caught in the Garden of Gethsemane with the naked boy, right? And then there's a scene of the young boy running away naked, right? When the Roman SWAT team pulls up on him, and then the little kid runs away and he goes, "Oh, I'm not a trafficker. I'm not a robber," or whatever the word leistes means like pirate, trafficker, robber. And then they take him, and then he's on the cross the next day, and he's like screaming out, like dying of thirst in between two traffickers. And he's asking, and there's this dude Nonus who writes about this scene specifically in ancient Greek, and he talks about them trying to give him the sponge, and he's denying the sponge, right? So the sponge, Nonus is writing about this, that the sponge is the antidoton to the dipsas, which is the antidote to the North African viper. But he's refusing to take the antidote. He's just dying because he took this death inducer at 4 a.m. in the park, in the Garden of Gethsemane. And now he's just going to let himself die on the cross. So like, yeah, there's that. I don't know what to make of any of it. Make of this stuff. I just, I hear people saying that it's all bullshit, but like, fuck, is it interesting?
Well, bizarre that they use the term Christ before Christ.
Yeah.
Just bizarre.
It's been used. Yeah, you can look it up. It's used all throughout Homer, Euripides, all these other authors. Like there's again, getting back to the philology stuff. The philologists, they go back in time and they look at the context of all of the literature, not just the biblical canon, which is like a narrow lane of ancient literature, right? But they're looking at the philosophy, the legal texts, the medical texts, everything, and saying, okay, let's take this word, look where it's used in all of these different texts throughout all kinds of professions, and see what the consensus is of what it meant during that time period. And what he's claiming is that the fucking word Christ meant drugs back then.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Pretty bananas.
Well, it's so hard to know what all that stuff was about. It's so hard to know why these people wrote these things down. When I had Wes Huff on, one of the things he talked about is the book of Isaiah, when you see it in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and then 1,000 years later, it's verbatim. 1,000 years after the Dead Sea Scroll, the version that they find of the book of Isaiah is word for word.
Really?
Yeah, 1,000 years. Like, what were they trying to document? Like, what were the original stories? Because, like, human beings are not a good source of information, especially back then. It's just too hard to be accountable. Why would you be honest? People make grandiose claims. They exaggerate. We see it today. It's like humans today are the same as humans back then. We're flawed.
Right.
So we know today that our versions of history are deeply biased. our versions of world events, our versions of, I mean, if the United States government could write the story about the invasion of Iraq without investigative journalists, right? What would be the story?
Yeah.
And this is part of the problem. It's like we don't really know what they were trying to say. It was an oral history for who knows how long before they ever wrote down the Old Testament.
Yeah. And it got redacted and added to over time. There's like all kinds of weird secret gospels, secret gospel of Mark that they claim that this dude, Morton Smith, came up with, which was similar to Aumann's theories. But then, people say, oh, that's a forgery. It's a forgery. The secret gospel, if the secret gospel of Mark's a forgery, that he fucking knew Greek really well. And he knew the culture really well and all the cults, and like, dude, like, even like the mysteries of the hospitals in ancient Rome, like the temples of Asclepius, and doing all those rituals in the temples of Asclepius, using medicine and drugs simultaneously, and these venoms and all this stuff is it's interesting to learn, and especially when you compare that stuff to the biblical stuff, like how much has it been changed? How much has the meaning been changed? And like, the people, most of the academics who study this stuff are, maybe not most of them, but a large percentage of them, I think, that I've talked to. They're religious scholars of the Bible and Christianity, but they also subscribe to Christianity. So I'm like, it's weird that there's kind of like a built-in bias into this stuff. You kind of want this stuff to mean something. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, for sure.
And like,
that was what was interesting about Allegro. Because John Marco Allegro was an ordained minister who, once he became a theologian, once he studied theology, he started to have agnostic thoughts. And so when he was one of the deciphers of the Dead Sea Scrolls, when he was on that committee, he was agnostic at the time. So he had already decided through his study of all these different religions that maybe he wouldn't subscribe to any of them and leave an open mind. So he was the only person on the commission that was deciphering the Dead Sea Scrolls over a period of like 14 years rather. He studied this stuff. He was the only one who was agnostic. And again, his claims are widely dismissed by many people. But I think
this dude Ammon thinks he's full of shit.
Does he? What does he think?
He was like came up under like some of the top classical scholars of like modern times. One of those dudes is Carl Ruck. He wrote The Road to Eleusis, and this other guy's John Scarborough, who's dead now. And for some reason, none of them, whenever I ask them about Allegro, they're like, I don't fucking know. They don't pay attention to it for some reason.
Well, I think you would have to be a real scholar in biblical languages to even understand what the fuck he's saying.
Yeah.
And to be able to translate ancient Sumer.
Yeah.
Ancient Sumerian, like according to Wes Huff, he's like, I tried. I couldn't even figure out how to do it.
Also, how does ancient Sumerian connect to Hebrew?
Right.
Is there any correlation between ancient Sumerian and ancient Hebrew? Do they share any roots? Are there any bridges that connect those two languages? I have no idea.
I don't know either. But you're dealing with if it really goes back that far. So if he's talking about this term from ancient Sumer, where they are calling it a drug, they're saying it's a mushroom, and this is from 5,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago. You're predating the Bible by a long stretch. And how old was that? If they're right about Turkey, and Turkey was the original civilization, like when is that? Is that 12,000 years ago? What is the real date of Egypt? What is the real date of the original structures of Egypt? Do they know? We're told it's 2,500 BC for the Great Pyramid, but boy, there's a lot of people that don't agree with that, including geologists. When you get guys like Robert Schoch who say like this water erosion is thousands of years of rainfall. Last time you had a heavy rainfall in the Nile Valley, you're looking at 9,000 years ago. Right. So you have thousands of years of rainfall before 9,000 years ago that's going to create this kind of erosion. And so it's hard to know because everybody wants to be right, and they all have this date that they've been talking about and writing books about and giving lectures about. They never want to revise that. They gatekeep that information until the date. They never want to have an open mind and say perhaps there is evidence, of course, that there was a sophisticated civilization there 2,500 BC, but maybe they were a part of a very old civilization. And this is the Zep Tepi thing that Zawi Hawass was totally ignorant of. And he thought it was just completely bullshit. And this is the King's List that goes back 30,000 years. that they talk about, and the way Egyptologists that are conventional thinkers, they think that it's mythology. They think that's myth. But, you get to about 2,500 BC, that's all real. Well, how the fuck do you know?
Right, they don't.
You don't. And also, if there was an advanced civilization 11,800 years ago that was able to create Göbekli Tepe, which we know now to be true, what else have we not found?
Right. Was it a breakaway civilization? Did they escape the Earth and go to the moon?
Right.
Right?
Or-
like they're trying to do now?
Or, was it just that they had achieved a very high level of sophistication in technology that's very different from the path that we took?
Right, totally.
That's what I think. I think the path that they took involved immense stone structures, cosmology. They probably didn't have internal combustion engines. They probably had a completely different kind of technology that we wouldn't even think of because we went in this internal combustion engine, plastic, microchip, electricity. We went into that direction.
Yeah.
But you could imagine primitive man evolving to create technology that's far different than the way we went.
Yeah. Do you think we might have cracked that somewhere? Like in some deep black programs that we could have that? They wouldn't want to unleash that on society because it could like fuck up the economic system or like collapse the world.
I know Jesse Michaels believes that there's gravity technology that they were researching in the 1960s and that they had achieved some sort of breakthrough propulsion system that is probably a lot of what you see when you see these UAPs and these crafts that move in very strange ways.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. And again, the idea that they couldn't keep that secret, shut the fuck up. Of course they could.
Right.
Of course they could.
There's this lady, Catherine Fitz, who's she was the head of the Department of HUD under George Bush, and they brought her in after like the mortgage crisis to like figure out how to like restabilize the economy and what the banks were doing and all this stuff. And she was looking at like missing money, and she found that there was like when she applied her knowledge of mathematics and like what's going on with like the federal budget and where all the money's going, she said the most reasonable explanation. You know how there's like $21 trillion missing from the DOD the day before 9/11. Donald Rumsfeld was like, there's like $2.5 trillion, whatever it was. Now that's ballooned to like $21 trillion, and she thinks that, let's pull up the spreadsheet, see where that money went. Oh, it's not on the receipt. Well, I don't know where it went. She thinks it went to like black budget shit, like black military technology, like anti-gravity, and she thinks that Mr. Global, whoever that is, the bankers, the central bankers, are literally using all of that money and funneling it into black projects to create a breakaway civilization in case there's like some sort of catastrophe on Earth or something happens.
Oh, God.
And like,
where are they doing this?
they're doing this at fucking Lockheed Martin. I have no idea.
Underground or something?
Maybe. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another thing she says. She says there's a lot of money that's going into building all these underground bases, continuity of government, tunnel systems, all of this stuff. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, she legit worked under the Bush administration. She was like a financial genius.
Right, but she could be a kook.
She could be.
Yeah, that's the problem. When people are super intelligent but also crazy,
Yeah.
and also had a prominent position in government but also crazy.
Yeah. I guess there's a lot of really intelligent people that are super crazy.
And has she been to these places? Like, how does she know that they're real? Does she know, has she talked to someone that explained this breakaway civilization thing, or is this just a theory?
She's friends with the dude who wrote the book that's titled Swastikas, Psyops, and Saucers.
What? Yeah. What's that book about?
How the Nazis are controlling UFOs and psyops and controlling the world and, playing the world like it's their fucking docudrama and recreating reality and inventing all this crazy off-world stuff, and how Roswell was Soviet Union crashing stuff here, and basically it's all Nazi black budget stuff, I think, is like the main point that guy
Do they
made.
dismiss the idea that we're visited at all by something from somewhere else?
I mean, what do you mean who? Like
these people that think that it's all Nazi stuff and Soviet Union stuff?
I don't think that they're saying it's all that, but they're probably saying, I haven't read all his books, but I think he's saying when he wrote that book, it was probably all Nazis, no aliens. But now I'm sure his views have evolved on it.
That's part of the problem too. It's like,
yeah.
when you see these reports, whenever I see like a story that's in the New York Times where the Pentagon is admitting we have, there's been off-world crafts and all these different things, and you get these David Grush guys that are testifying about that we've recovered crashed vehicles. It's like, how much of that is a psyop?
I think most of it.
I think a lot of it. Yeah, I don't even know if they know it's a psyop. But if I was the government and I was working on top secret propulsion systems, the first thing I would do is spread a bunch of fake rumors about UFOs.
Yes.
This is how we can't explain it. We don't know. We're being visited. They're super intelligent. We don't know where they're from. We don't know how they're doing this.
Yep.
And then you have an explanation for why these people are seeing these things in the sky when it's really just your shit that you're flying around. But yet, if you listen to Jacques Vallée and you read any of his books, he's got these stories that people were telling from the 1700s and the 1800s that mirror almost exactly the experiences that people are having today. That's where it gets weird because, okay, now you're predating any possibility of this being modern technology, that is just hidden and tucked away. They couldn't have done that in the 1700s. There were no way. They didn't even have airplanes yet, right? Okay.
Right.
So if we admit that, then we have to go, okay, well, what's going on then? Is there something else here that's been here forever, like some people think? Or are we looking at something that's visiting us and keeping an eye on us from somewhere else? That's where it's fun. That's the fun one. The fun one is not that it's ours. The fun one is that we're being visited.
Yeah, and are we being visited or do they just live under the oceans?
Right.
Have they been here fucking forever? And there's this case, Richard Dolan came on my show recently and he was telling me he wrote this new book about all the underwater cases ever documented, the underwater UFOs, USOs. And there's one from the early 1700s where there was this ship sailing across the Pacific and this giant glowing orb came out of the ocean. And these sailors all wrote about it. How this massive football stadium sized glowing orb came up out of the ocean and flew away. And if how much of the ocean have we explored?
Very small percentage.
Very small amount. We've explored more of the moon, I think.
And it would be the perfect base. If you wanted to
Yeah.
come here and observe human beings without them being able to see what's going on, that's the best place to hide. Because no one's going there. They don't have the capability of going there. We have submarines, but I mean, if the submarines see things, did they tell us?
Yeah.
If the submarine saw a UFO underwater, would they have a press conference?
Right, exactly.
No.
We know about the nuclear bases above ground because those guys have come out
Right.
and talked about it. But all of the nuclear submarines that are patrolling the oceans at all times, right off of our coast, off both coasts, if they're carrying multiple nuclear warheads, I'm sure they're seeing something or they're detecting something there.
Well, there's this one video of something that was moving 500 knots under the water. This thing that flew by their camera. They don't.
On the sub?
Yeah, I forget where it was being recorded, but it was a video of something that was like a beam of light that shot through the screen. You could see it moving underwater at this insane rate of speed with no ripples, no disruption of the water, just moving through the water.
Yeah.
And then there's these transmedium videos, videos of these things flying. They go into the water with no splash, no nothing, and they don't lose any momentum.
Yeah. I think the best evidence that those things have been here forever is probably ancient stories, biblical story, aliens or angels and demon stuff.
What about Ezekiel?
Before Ezekiel too, right?
Ezekiel in the Bible, that story is nuts. The wheel within a wheel, the way he's describing, what are you seeing?
Right.
And imagine you've no context.
Yeah.
Imagine seeing something that's floating, some geometric pattern that's hovering in the sky above your head and emitting light and trying to explain this. And then also going back and trying to remember exactly what you saw because you're probably freaking the fuck out. You really do have some sort of an encounter with some orb that's flying in the sky. How do you even describe it? What context do you put it in? Do you describe it as an alien? Do you describe it as an angel? Do you think it's God? What do you think it is?
Right. Or is it drugs? Are drugs
I'm
playing a role in this?
Drugs play a part of it.
Well, then there's James Fox's Alien from the Virginia film.
Oh, yeah.
Where it smelled like sulfur.
Right.
And there's biblical accounts of demons smelling like sulfur and having cloven feet. So did that exactly describes that being in James's documentary.
Right.
The hospital smelled like sulfur for a week after, they said.
And the guy who was handling it died of a horrible infection. This is all documented. The guy who picked up the alien, put it in his squad car, took it to a hospital. That hospital wouldn't deal with it. Took it to another hospital. And then that guy dies of a horrible bacterial infection that they can't cure with antibiotics.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts, dude.
Fucking nuts. And then all the people, the eyewitnesses that were there that saw the thing, and when he brings the police officer to the site of the crash, the officer starts weeping uncontrollably. Yeah. Recounting the story, unless that guy's the greatest actor of all time,
right?
Like, what is going on there?
There's the story where he walked up to the guy's house and the guy like pulled a gun on him. And he's like, "You guys come any closer, I'm shooting you."
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird shit.
It's
man.
weird, dude, and it's weird that like everyone's trying to paint their own narrative. There's different groups competing on like how they want to paint the UFO thing, right? You have like different camps of people, like in the government or in media. I don't know what the difference is.
And there's guys like you and I that are basically useful idiots.
Yeah, exactly.
They come on our podcast, talk a lot of shit, and we go, "I don't know." Figure it out, folks.
Yeah, we're feds. We're feds. We got the Palantir honey trap over here.
Like, what is that thing? That thing's all filled with Pegasus.
It's Palantir, bro.
They're reading every single one of your little jot downs that you put on that. Yeah. Who knows? But if you did have some sort of like infinitely superior technology and you've had it for a long time, when do you, if ever, let the public know? And how do you let the
with
public
that
know?
too?
Right.
Like, if you're the guy, right? Like how many? I don't know how many people know all of the secrets. Right, okay, but if there is a handful of dudes, how do you go about living your life when you're that dude and when you know like shit that can change the face of humanity forever? How do you go home to your wife and kids, right? Is it like, are you living in that show, what's the show where they go up in the elevator and it wipes their mind?
Oh, Severance.
Severance, yeah. Is it like that? Do they have real life severance?
I don't think so. No, I think they just rely on these people being secret. And, you know, there's the thing about Bob Lazar's story. You know, Bob Lazar lost his job because his wife was cheating on him. Because his wife thought that, you know, he couldn't tell her what he was doing. So when he was flying off to S4, he would say, "I got to go to work." And she's like, at 11 o'clock at night on a Friday, "Get the fuck out of here." So she starts fucking this other guy. And they were listening to his phone calls. So they had his phone tapped. Yeah. And because his wife was having an affair, he was deemed to be at a risk of being emotionally unstable. So they released him. And so then he's like, "This is bullshit." And he starts telling people, "Hey, man, we're working on UFOs. They have a crashed UFO. I saw it. They fly it every Wednesday or whatever it was. Come, I'll show you." Yeah. And so he brings people out to the test site where they can observe from one of the mountains. And then he gets arrested. And then he goes public so that he doesn't get killed. This is his justification of it all.
Yeah, I used to think Bob Lazar was full of shit, but I've come around on it. I don't think that anymore. After learning more about all the disinformation and all the time and money they put into just confusing people, like the Paul Benowitz story, you know, I think he would be the perfect candidate to recruit just because of his background. Like, you know, his first wife committed suicide. He ran a brothel.
Yeah, he was a nut.
He was a nutcase, dude.
And he's also
a perfect person. He's perfect. They could deny him so easily. Like, look at this dude's background. You think we would hire this dude?
And also a legitimate genius.
Right.
I mean, the guy put a rocket engine on a Honda in like 1985.
Yeah.
He was a nut. He converted his Corvette to a hydrogen engine.
Yeah.
In like, you know, I think it was the 90s he did that. He had a hydrogen-powered Corvette that he engineered himself. See if you can find Bob Lazar's hydrogen-powered Corvette. He was a nut.
Yeah.
You know, but he doesn't seem like a liar. And the podcast, obviously it resonates with people because I think the podcast I had with him on YouTube is the most viewed podcast that we've ever had, including Donald Trump.
Really?
Is that true, Jamie? No? Who's number one now?
Donnie beat him?
Who's number one? Elon. First Elon's number one.
Okay.
That was the one when he smoked weed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
the thing.
Oh, yeah.
The smoking weed really took it over the top.
That was a good moment. Do you smoke on all podcasts?
No.
Just certain ones. Just certain specific
Yeah.
ones.
So this is Bob Lazar's hydrogen-powered Corvette.
That's amazing.
What a fucking kook.
It's beautiful.
What a kook. I mean, who fucking did that? This guy created a hydrogen-powered Corvette, and that's an old-ass Corvette, too. That's a shitty one in the 90s.
If you're throwing shit at the wall, trying to figure out a new way to move fucking planes, that you might as well find people like this. To
Homemade hydrogen-powered Corvette. Look at this. Play it. Go full screen.
Oh, this is way throwback.
Yeah. I don't hear anything.
Is this Reddit?
When the tank's heated, it produces hydrogen, and the car burns it. So there's never much gaseous hydrogen in the system at any given time.
Wow. So these are the fuel lines? No, what are these? Those
No,
are
these are the
So you can't see what they're looking at. For
Here
people.
it goes.
There it goes, actually.
heater in the tank, and also reads back the temperature of the tank.
why is that important?
Well, when you apply heat to hydride, it releases hydrogen. So as power is applied to here, it heats the hydride,
Right.
and then the gas comes out the big hoses on the end.
Now you have 4 hoses. Do they all mix into one big hose or
Yeah.
something?
Didn't he like
You
hang
only
out with
get
Ed Teller or talk to Ed Teller at one
Hydrogen out
point?
of
I don't
hydride
know.
At a certain rate with a certain temperature. And a single tank, you can't get it out at the volume you need. So you really
So this guy was a
need one
legitimate
smaller
genius and a propulsion expert,
Yep.
and that's why they brought him
Yep.
in to
Right.
say, how does this work?
Yeah.
And that story, he's told the same story for, whatever it is now, 50 plus years or 40 years.
Yeah.
What is it? What year was it?
And there's a good reason, I think. That
85, so 40 years? Somewhere around 85?
the biggest argument against him is the MIT stuff, right? 'Cause he can't
Yeah.
prove that. But there's something that I'm sure.
But the
you'll-
MIT thing, though, look, if you're working at Los Alamos Labs and you're working on top secret stuff for the government, it's not inconceivable that you would be educated at MIT and there wouldn't be a record of it. Especially
Sure.
if you're working,
working
on
on some
something
black
that's
project.
like really devious shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what he told me off the air.
You will.
Yeah.
God, I can't fucking wait.
Yeah.
All right,
As
let's
soon
end
as we're
this.
done,
No, I'm
we'll
just
wrap
kidding.
this
I'm
up.
kidding. But no, I wanted to like the stuff in the stuff like the thing that is so astonishing to me is like all of the brightest minds and unlimited money have gone to more and more ways to figure out how to kill people. Like during Operation Paperclip, during the time Bob Lazar was at Los Alamos and at S4, if he was at S4 or whatever that was going on there, like and that dude John von Neumann, who was the mathematician, who was he came up with the equation who by the way was like the most brilliant mathematical mind of in American history, came up with the equation of the perfect altitude to detonate Fat Man and Little Boy to kill the most people. Which is like you're using this fucking intellect to do these kinds of things. And now there's a $21 trillion black hole in the DoD. Like, imagine what they could have. They could have something that's probably, I mean, going way out on a limb, conjecture, obviously, I don't fucking know, but like my conspiracy mind wants to go to like, oh my God, they have like another whole military, Air Force, Navy that is disconnected from America, that is probably more powerful than every other country combined, that could just, take over the world in an instant.
But can't they already wipe each other out? I mean, the whole world has nuclear weapons. There's nuclear weapons in how many different countries?
Yeah.
If they all launched them simultaneously, there's no life left on Earth.
What I'm saying with the 21 trillion, they could have some fucking weapon that would render a nuke completely irrelevant. If they do have anti-gravity, and if they have figured out some of this crazy parapsychology stuff, the psionic stuff with the UFOs and like the mind interfacing, all this just kooky stuff that you want to dismiss. But 21 trillion, if they were spending $50 on Stargate, and they thought it was worth some sort of intelligence to spy on the Russians, like how much money would they keep throwing at something if there was just a shred of possibility that it could work? And if there was evidence that like this works 3% of the time, and we spent $1 million on it, let's spend $1 trillion on it and see how much more advanced we can get, and see how much more control and world domination we can get. And
Well, one of the things Lazar said about the craft, that he was the sport model, which is that thing on the desk. That's the copy of it. One of the things that he said about it was that there was no controls. When you sit inside the thing, there's no joystick, there's no steering wheel.
so you use your mind.
Yeah. There was probably that's probably what we're getting to anyway. We're kind of close to that with phones now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how many times do you text where you don't even text? You just press the button and say, text Danny, say this, and it just says it for you.
Yeah.
Or, how old is Barbara Streisand? And it gives you an instant information. You're talking to it all the time.
Yeah.
There's and what's the next step? Well, the next step is you think it. Like, you wear it and you think, and it does things for you. And then as technology scales further and further more advanced, you're going to get to a point where you can move your car with your mind. And then when you have spacecraft, of course, it would be the same sort of technology. You would use technology to move the craft with your mind. You know, they already have these interfaces with fighter pilots where you look is where the crosshair shows up. So instead of having to like move a crosshair with like a you know, like if you're playing a video game and you're moving the mouse, you're moving the crosshair to the side, or if you're using an Xbox controller, you're moving that crosshair to where you want to hit.
Right.
The crosshair goes where their eyes go. So you're wearing this thing that knows where you're looking. And they already have this kind of technology with virtual reality. They have this technology with these meta glasses that they're developing. So they can, while you have this helmet on, this helmet is not simply a thing that protects your head. It's an electronic interface with the guidance system. And where your eyes look, the crosshairs go. Yo.
Did you see the LLM stuff trying to get soldiers to leave the battlefield in the Russia-Ukraine war?
No.
They're using LLMs and the Russians are like hacking the Ukrainians' phones with LLMs, reading everything on their phones, seeing how they communicate with their family, and using LLMs to send messages to their phones of like their family, trying to get them to lay down their weapons and leave the war.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, like where does that end up?
Well, that's what gets real weird, because if AI starts controlling all the war systems, and it just has a goal, and it doesn't have any ethics or morals or any concern about life or death. It just has a directive. Like, I want you to accomplish this. Take control of the resources in Donbass. Do this, do that. Whatever it is. It just does it the most effective way possible, which could be unbelievably brutal.
Yeah, and then like even shit like telepathy or like being able to communicate without words.
Well, Elon says that's 100% the goal of Neuralink.
Are you optimistic about that?
I'm not optimistic or pessimistic. I think it's inevitable.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at what we have now as normal, because it's become normal to carry around a phone with you everywhere. It's become normal to have an Apple Watch on and get all your text messages on your wrist. It's become normal. And I think it'll become normal to be interfaced with the great hive mind. I think we're all going to be connected with some new technology, the same way we're all connected with social media and email and FaceTime videos and all that shit that we are now, and WhatsApp messages. We're all going to be connected with something that's far more technologically advanced, and it'll become normal, just like this is normal.
I just hope, like, if it does get there, when it does get there, that we can overcome this sort of place that we've reached with social media, where people are just like spatting out whatever comes to the front of their mind at any given moment, or like just like rage impulse and fighting where there's no filter, which I think has just created more and more division and miscommunication.
Oh yeah.
Like if me and you are just talking and we're communicating our minds back and forth.
Right.
I don't know how your mind works, but my mind is like a constant hornet's nest of fucking ideas just bouncing around everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So if you could read my mind, you're going to be so goddamn confused, and there's probably going to be shit in there I don't want you to know. And it's like like to the writing process, right? Like when you write, you know about writing more than anyone. When you write something and you try to like distill an idea down to like the most precise form to communicate it accurately to the audience, right?
Right.
Like you go through so many revisions and you revise and you refine until you get it perfect, so you can communicate that message to your audience. But if it's just a direct stream of consciousness, unedited, I can't imagine that would be a good thing. You know, unless you're like some meditative yogi that like has a really editorialized stream of consciousness, which I don't.
Well, maybe instead of just having access to all your thoughts, maybe it's just simply what you're trying to communicate about your thoughts. Maybe it won't be as simple as we all have access to each other's minds. Maybe it'll just be much more, you'll be able to purely transmit your feelings and your ideas without the context of a language. Maybe we'll have to develop some sort of universal language. Yeah. Which would be, the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
And I've made that connection. I made that connection last night, I think, about Christ. Like, Christ was of a virgin birth. Like, what's more of a virgin birth than sentient super intelligence from AI?
Yeah.
If that becomes a being that is essentially a god and is given birth by a virgin mother, I mean, that's the story of Christ. It's just confusing. It's just confusing if you translate it over and over and over time. But if Christ is supposed to return, that would be a way something like a God would return. It would return through artificial intelligence. If it just emerged out of our creation and our insatiable desire to make new and better things.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Like, why else do we have this insane desire to have new and improved things?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, isn't your phone good enough? Like, I have a Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra and I have an iPhone 16. They're good. They're good enough. You don't need to make a better one.
Have you seen Westworld on HBO?
Yeah.
One of my favorite
Season
shows.
1 is fucking amazing.
It's the best.
Got a little squirrely in season 2.
It's season 2 and 3. Yeah, it got a little squirrely for sure. But like one of my favorite lines in that is when Ford is talking to Bernard, or not Bernard, one of the ladies, one of the robots, and he's like explaining the human psyche, and he's like, all of the greatest achievements of humanity, the Eiffel Tower, the Statue of David, the Mona Lisa, all just an elaborate mating call. It's all peacock feathers. Ooh. It's all just this desire to procreate. And to, it's that really got me fucking thinking. And it's like, is that what drives human beings to do things and to create new things and new art? I always thought it was sex, but I think it might be that combined with the fear of death, because we want to live forever, and we want to have a symbolic immortality. We want to leave something behind after we die.
It might not just be sex. It might just be social recognition, status.
Yeah.
You want to be adored as a genius.
Yeah. And there's also that painting on the Sistine Chapel, the creation of Adam, which is also in that movie, where it shows God creating Adam and all the angels. And he's sitting inside of the perfect anatomical illustration of a human brain. If you look at it.
Can you find that, Jamie?
Yeah, pull up the creation of Adam, and it's got like the prefrontal cortex, the brain stem, the visual cortex. It's all there, and he's creating Adam. And like the point he makes in the movie is like, the divine gift does not come from a higher power, but from the human mind.
That's bananas. Let me see that other image that you just had of the two of them below it. No, I'm sorry. Go back to that one and then go below it, the one that you just had.
With the brain?
With the one
on
which
the
showed
bottom
the
right?
brain. Yeah, the bottom right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's weird, man.
It is weird, isn't it?
It's pretty close.
Yeah,
and it's also that is, the Eye of Horus. When you look at the side section, a cross section of the pineal gland, it looks exactly like that. This weird symbology.
Wait, what looks just like that?
The Eye of Horus
the Eye of Horus,
ancient
okay.
Egyptian. Go to so that gland, when you see it at the bottom, go to the Eye of Horus. Go pineal gland, Eye of Horus. Take out the Sistine Chapel. Yeah, there it is. So that's what the Eye of Horus looks like. It looks exactly like the pineal
wild,
gland.
dude.
I mean, it's the same shape. And there's a lot of weirdness, man.
Yeah,
to the
dude.
Ancient art. Like, what were they trying to say? Like, what were they trying to document?
It's funny, the people who like don't believe Jesus existed, they'll make the argument like, imagine 2,000 years from now that people wanted to say that there was this mythical divine person and he existed because we know there's this divine trilogy called the Lord of the Rings, and his name was Gandalf, and he came from the center of the earth. But it's like nothing else corroborates it. But I don't know. I think Jesus was a real person.
It seems like it was a real person.
Yeah.
The question is, like, what really happened?
Right.
And the whole coming back from the dead thing is like, what was that all about?
Right. Yeah. I don't think that's real.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, but
Right.
neither does the birth of the universe from
Right.
something smaller than the head of a pin. That doesn't make
Right.
any sense either.
Yeah.
But if if this one unique moment in time that God did send us his son to try to like sort things out, and we wound up killing him, and he died for our sins, like, would that be any weirder than supermassive black holes? Would that be any
Right.
weirder than most of the stuff that we know is real?
And how do you reconcile that with the simulation?
I don't know. I mean, it might be part of the whole weirdness of this whole thing is that we have mythology. Part of the weirdness of the simulation might be that we have this fantastical mythology that you sort of have to suspend disbelief and accept. It's part of this whole weirdness that we have where we're susceptible to ideological belief systems like cults, you know, like political ideologies. We're essentially just like cults. You know, when you're on the right and you're, you know, right with everything and, you know, you're all MAGA, or if you're on the left, you're blue no matter who, you're in a cult. You're in a cult. People get into cults. And why is that? Like, why is that a part of, if we are in a simulation, why are we so malleable? Is it because we recognize it and we're supposed to oppose it and we're supposed to fight the instinct that we all deeply have embedded in our system, but we also know is wrong? Like, what is it about these systems? Like, why is that in place? Is this simply just an ancient relic of our tribal past where you had to follow the rules of the tribe in order to survive, and so it was instilled in people in the psyche, and that's how we developed? Or is there something more to it? Is it like part of the mechanism that allows us to resist, which allows us to innovate, which encourages us to push forward and ask more questions, because we know there's a lot of bullshit. Like, the reason why people ask so many questions now in 2025 as opposed to 2019 is because of COVID, because we went through so much bullshit and propaganda. We were so gaslit by the government, by the CDC, by everybody, that now we question way more. So it's probably benefited us somewhat to go through that.
Yeah. When Mary was on here, did she tell you about Kevin McKiernan?
Refresh my memory.
He was the dude who worked for the Human Genome Project. It's like a DNA wizard. He was working for the Human Genome Project, trying to figure out different sort of medical treatments for cancers based on your genome. So like they could target a specific type of leukemia in you, and they would take your DNA and they would like basically make designer drugs to target that cancer and to kill that cancer. And during the pandemic, somebody sent him 4 unopened vials of the Pfizer vaccine, and he analyzed them and he ran them through all of his processing systems, whatever the fuck he does. And he found out there was DNA plasmid contamination in them, which were like promoters of this SV40 shit.
I did hear about that. Yeah. I talked to Brett Weinstein about that, and he was explaining that when they first were sequencing certain vaccines, because with the vaccine you have to use living cells in order to create these antibodies initially. Yeah. And when
traditional vaccines, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so when they started using these things, they were using kidney cells of these monkeys. And they didn't understand that these monkeys had this SV40, simian virus 40.
Right.
And that this, when introduced into human cells, causes tumors.
Yep.
Causes cancer.
Yep.
Like rampant cancer.
Right.
You see the uptick of cancer, and everyone wants to like bury their head in the sand and pretend that it didn't happen. But people that took the vaccine are getting fucking cancer at an astounding rate.
Yeah. And Kevin was telling me that he was doing study. He pulled some tumors from some people that died somewhere in Europe, and he was sequencing the tumors of these people that died with the vaccine. And he said that the SV40 was in the tumors. And I don't remember the science. I'd have to go back and listen to it. By the way, that episode got pulled off YouTube.
Really?
Off my channel. I got a strike for it.
What did they say?
Medical misinformation.
What part of it's medical misinformation?
The whole thing. We talked about vaccines, and we talked about
What year was this?
This was like November of last year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could put it up now, because they seem to have lightened up. Didn't they? They changed their regulations recently.
Did they?
Yeah, they changed their guidelines.
That's the problem with this shit, dude. I'm so afraid to talk about shit I want to talk about.
I know, isn't that fucked up?
It's like, yeah, it sucks, dude.
It sucks because there's no way to know who's telling the truth unless you let people say crazy shit and then have someone come on and refute it, and then have the two of them get together and debate it.
Right.
And then even then sometimes you don't know. Like with this Flint Dibble, Graham Hancock thing. Yeah. If it wasn't for Dan Richards, we wouldn't know that a lot of the things that Flint Dibble said were just absolutely not true.
Right.
YouTube loosens rules guiding moderation of videos. Yeah. So favor freedom of expression over the risk of harm in deciding what to take down. So specifically scroll down to what they said, what the actual the policy shift, which hasn't publicly disclosed. What does it say? Public statements. They used language that I thought was
they don't make public statements.
much more
they
reasonable.
broad brush it. They don't give you an exact reason. They just say, "Oh, this falls into this category." Like there's no jury at YouTube. They're just like they find the most excusable reason to
Go back to where you were. Recognizing the definition of public interest is always evolving. We update our guidelines for these exceptions to reflect the new types of discussions we see on our platform today. Our goal remains the same: to protect free expression on YouTube while mitigating egregious harm. So, they could still, but the thing is, like, they're controlled by their advertisers to a certain extent. And
I don't buy that shit, dude.
what do you mean? They get funds from the
They're
advertisers.
Google though. They fucking
Right.
own advertising. Like you're
Yeah,
gonna
but-
tell me like some company is gonna go to Google and say, "Listen, bro, we're not
Yes.
gonna advertise with you unless you take that guy's video down."
No, I think pharmaceutical drug companies have influence. And I think if you're getting an
Yeah.
enormous percentage of your advertising revenue from pharmaceutical drug companies, which Callie Means has said the reason why they do that is not to promote their drugs. It's to stop criticism. And this is why they promote. This is why brought to you by Pfizer. Anderson Cooper, brought to you by Pfizer. What that is for is to make sure that they never criticize Pfizer.
Sure. I
And-
understand that.
And
yeah.
it works, right?
For cable TV, yeah, but for like YouTube has a monopoly on advertising. Google does, at least. I guess I could see it, but like, they got fucking trillions of dollars.
So it says YouTube's adpocalypse and the gatekeeping of cultural content on digital platforms. This is how it all started. 2017, advertiser revolt on YouTube, popularly known as the adpocalypse, introduced widespread and radical changes on the platform's policy related to moderation and content. Their monetizability and the terms of the relationship between the creators and the platform. And these changes, in turn, have caused significant discontent within the creator community while also gradually transforming the predominant nature of the content on the platform. So they did do it. They did it by cutting the ads.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dirty business, man. And they're doing it because they don't want people finding out certain things that are actually true. And that's what they did during the pandemic. And that's what the FBI tried to do when they were banning people like Jay Bhattacharya and prominent scientists and like legitimate academics.
But then I'll have like the same thing will happen to videos I do about UFOs. Like the
Really?
same thing will happen. Not taken down, but you know how shit will get like buried where you can't search for it?
Oh, yeah.
Me and Jesse were talking about this. This happened
Yeah.
to Jesse too with Grush, where he was like, it was like the #1 video on Grush, and all of a sudden you can't search it. Like stuff like that. I mean, the COVID one was the first one I actually had taken down, which was scary. And it makes me think about that. I hate the fact that I actually have to think about whether I'm gonna get the axe.
I know.
Based on the topic I'm discussing. Like I don't know if that doesn't lead to a good place as far as journalism goes, because journalism is supposed to be shining light on the dark places that people don't want them shine, and it's supposed to piss people off.
Especially when you consider that a lot of the things that you used to be taken down for are now confirmed. Like
Yeah.
the lab leak theory.
Yep.
That used to get you kicked off of YouTube. Saying masks don't work, that would get you kicked off of YouTube. Like all these things that we now know to be true, that the vaccine does not stop infection. That would get you kicked off YouTube.
Right.
All these things that we now know are 100% fact, and it's all orchestrated by financial interests.
Yeah, the SV40 stuff is
fucking
wicked
terrifying.
freaky, dude. It's wicked freaky. Like with the cancer and how it goes all the way back to the early days in the 60s or the early 50s and 60s in New Orleans, how they were working trying to develop the polio vaccine with Alton Ochsner at Tulane University, and trying to weaponize some sort of there's a theory based on that book Mary's Monkey, where they were growing the polio vaccines on the monkey kidneys and using this to also create bioweapons to assassinate people like Castro. And that's apparently what, according to that book, what Lee Harvey Oswald was doing with that lady Mary Sherman, and they were using that Linac machine to try to like supercharge the SV40 to make it more deadly.
Oh my God.
To induce cancer with people.
Jesus
It's like,
Christ.
yeah, and then, oh God, that like the event, that Cutter event where Alton injected his 2 grandkids with the polio vaccine in front of the whole auditorium of students, and his granddaughter was paralyzed, but his grandson died the next day, right after they did that.
Jesus
and they were like,
Christ.
there's people pushing back, like, don't do this. We tested this on monkeys, and like half of them are dead. let's not push this out. I think it was the Salk vaccine, the Salk polio vaccine. And then they fucking did it anyways.
Yeah. Well, I think you got to be able to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
Even if you get it wrong, and even if someone comes on, they say things that can be refuted. Yeah, refute it then. That's the whole point of all this.
Yeah.
If someone comes on and says something that's not correct, but it's taste.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you. If someone comes on and says something that's not correct, like have someone on that refutes it. Figure it out. You have to be able to talk about stuff, and some of it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's all super fun.
It is, right?
Yeah.
How'd you get started?
Well, I obviously didn't always do podcasts, but I was originally, I always wanted to make movies when I was
used to
young.
call it Concrete. Why was it called?
It was called Concrete. So, okay, I'll tell you. It was, first of all, I always wanted to make movies when I was a little kid. I was telling Jamie the story earlier. I was going to go to Full Sail where Jamie went in Florida, in Orlando, but it was just, I didn't have the money to do it, and I couldn't get into UCF because my grades were shit in high school. So, luckily, I got the opportunity to work on this movie called Dolphin Tail. It was a movie about a dolphin who got its tail stuck in a crab trap, and Morgan Freeman came in and built a prosthetic tail, and it was swimming around in the aquarium. And Cary Connick Jr. and Morgan Freeman were in it, and it was like a big, Warner Brothers movie. And I realized working as a camera production assistant on that movie, it was my film school, but I realized I did not want anything to do with making movies because it was the closest thing I ever experienced to working construction. It was like I was in charge of swapping the camera lenses, the camera batteries, taking the SD cards back to the media truck, getting everybody breakfast and coffee. And these dudes, these camera department dudes, a lot of them are really cool. Like the dude Pete Zuccarini, who was the underwater cinematographer who filmed all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He was fucking awesome. But a lot of the other guys were like really unhappy, like deeply unhappy because they never saw their families. They were always on the road, a lot of them on their like third, fourth wives, FaceTiming their kids. And it was like, they were like carnies with dental plans. They made great money, but they were fucking deeply unhappy. So like I realized I didn't want to make movies anymore. So I started an advertising company and making commercials. And I started doing like spec ads and like winning a bunch of contests to make commercials. I won one big contest for Land Rover USA where we made like a free ad and they paid us to make a bunch of other ads for them. And then that's where Concrete came in. So it was called something else, and I got sued by some advertising company in California saying, hey, bitch, you can't use this name anymore. Change your name. So my friend who owns a concrete construction company said, bro, there's this really cool website domain for sale with concrete with a K. He's like, it's like a couple $1,000. You should buy it. I was going to buy it. I'm like, sure, fuck yeah, let's do it. So I called my company Concrete. Stupid. And then...
and how'd you start a podcast?
So after the advertising stuff, I met a bunch of people. I met Hulk Hogan in the process of the whole advertising thing because me and Hulk live like 5 minutes from each other, and which is like 5 minutes from the Church of Scientology, which is great. And I started making a bunch of commercials with him because he would always have companies that would hit him up and say, yo, let's partner on this new product. And one of them was a hosting company called Hostomania. They wanted to make Hulk the face of the company. And we created this whole fucking thing where it was like right when Miley Cyrus dropped the Wrecking Ball video, and we put Hulk on a wrecking ball. We're like, yo, Hulk, we want to put you on a wrecking ball and have you freaking drop kick Van Damme, who's like the GoDaddy guy, right? And he's like, fuck yeah, brother, let's do it. This is it. It was poor execution, but it was funny. And he's like, brother, there's only one thing missing from this commercial idea. I'm like, what? He's like, I need to be in my birthday suit. I was like, what? So we did that, and then I started working on a bunch of like this was like the boom of reality shows when like Duck Dynasty and Pawn Stars were all taking off. So I was like, I could probably fucking make a reality show. So I hit up a bunch of my friends, and we started like touring around trying to find people to come up with like TV show ideas and concepts. And I got a couple people to invest in a couple TV show ideas, pilots that I spent like 6 years working on. And it was this long process of shooting, editing, taking notes from production companies that, you know how this works, but you have to like work with production companies who already have relationships with networks. Mm-hmm. And they were like constantly giving us notes like, okay, change this for A&E, change this for Spike TV. And we got to make sure it fits each network because we're pitching these shows to all these networks. I was like, okay, great. So it was just this roller coaster of emotions of like, oh my God, we're going to sell a TV show. We're going to do a TV show. And then finally we got one of those shows to a green light meeting at Spike TV or A&E. And like, I was like, this is it. We're going to do it. And the CEO of Viacom killed it because it did not fit their roster of existing advertisers. And I was just like so frustrated and fed up with it. I was like, fuck this. I'm taking all this stuff that I've been working on and I'm going to repackage them and put them on YouTube. And I did. And the first one that really took off, got millions of views in like 2015, was called Deckhands. And it was the story of these alcoholic dudes, these drunks that were hanging out in front of 7-Eleven in this little sleepy town called Madeira Beach, where I'm from. So me and my buddy Luke went up and we started filming these guys and asking them questions like, yo, what the fuck do you guys do here every day? And they're like, we're fucking fishermen, bro. Come see how we live. And one of these dudes took us back to his boat he lived on. He had this broken down boat in this old dusty marina where the boat didn't work, but he lived in this boat and it had amplifiers stacked to the ceiling. He had a stack of porno DVDs like 6 feet tall, laser light machines, fog machines, and he wore these fairy wings and like an armor helmet. And he would jam out to like Rob Zombie on his guitar while playing the music videos on this big projection screen in his boat. And we're like, this is fucking the Twilight Zone, dude. And then they started telling us more and more about like what they do. This is it. Yeah, this is the first episode. The Gates of Hell. This is Shane Lee. R.I.P. So we're asking these guys about like, what do you, like, you're fishermen, but like, explain to me, how does this work? And they were all pissed off about, oh, we're getting screwed by the boat owners and these IFQs and we don't make any money. And, you know, we're like, dude, there might be a story here. So we started interviewing more people and we eventually interviewed the people who own the boats and own the fish houses. So like Madeira Beach is Johns Pass, Florida is the grouper capital of the world. There's more grouper caught there than anywhere in the world. And the way it works is before 2007, there was a quota system where it was like for red snapper, it was like 3 million pounds per year are allowed to be caught in this area, right? So it was like derby fishing. So all the boats would go out and they would catch as much fish as they possibly could. And they would wait when they get back from their trip. And then they would, you know, quantify that or, you know, tell the federal government this is where we're at. And sometimes they would reach that 3 million pound limit in like October. So what do they have to do for the rest of the year? They stop fishing. They can't do anything. So in 2007, the federal government made a monopoly where they gave boat owners an allotment of fishing quota per year. So some guys got 100,000 pounds, some guys got 200,000 pounds, which is, if it's red snapper, that's $1 a pound. So that's like the best retirement plan known to man. The federal government is handing you 200,000 pounds of red snapper quota per year. And then what happened was eventually the boat owners sold off their quota. And now it's become so discombobulated where now like you can just buy this fishing quota and trade it like stock. You don't have to own a boat. You don't have to be a fisherman. You could just be some dude sitting in Manhattan in a high rise and buying and selling fishing quota. You're not, and there are like fishing communities in America, like in the Northeast, where it doesn't work like that, where you have to have your hand on the throttle. You have to take care of your people, and it's a lifestyle, and it's like a way to live. It's a culture. And where in Madeira Beach, at least when I was there filming, they were all just like carny ride operators, you know. Oh, wow. And these dudes were, and the lowest level of this fishing industry are those deckhands, those dudes like Shane Lee. And they're fucking drug addicts. A lot of them are hooked on heroin. What happens is they get home from fishing from 10 days of fishing offshore, and they get like $4,000 or $5,000 and they blow it all on prostitutes and coke and hookers and heroin. And they're kids, dude. They're like kids. Right. They're like kids with money. And by the time they run out, they have to go fishing again. So they're going to all the fish houses saying, bro, let me go. So they go offshore again and they seahab, where they rehab at sea for 10 days because they have no more drugs.
Wow.
And they come back and then rinse and repeat. And one of the people that we interviewed. There was 3 main characters in that series. There was Shane Lee, there was Space, and then there was Hollywood Kim. And Hollywood Kim was the last episode, which was sometimes when I think I have problems in my life, I remember her story and realize I don't really know what fucking problems are. She was from Alabama, and when she was 17 years old, she gave birth to her father's son.
Oh, God.
And when she was 6 years old, she would wake up every morning and ride her bike to the beach to try to escape her dad. And no one would believe her.
Jesus Christ.
She tried telling people. And no one would believe her because her dad was a cop.
Oh, God.
So she eventually gave birth to her son and escaped to Florida and became a deckhand working fishing and working on these boats, dude. And she was just, I met her and she would wake up every morning and just start slamming vodka and looking for drugs. And dude, it was just the Twilight Zone in my own backyard.
Wow.
It was nuts. And then that led to like podcasts. Like, so after that, then we're just like, oh, let's start doing podcasts in between these documentaries, you know, more content. And the podcast started to get more views than the documentaries. And here we are.
Well, I'm glad it happened. You got a great show, man.
Thanks, bro.
I appreciate you coming on here, man. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Let's do it again, for sure.
Hell yeah, bro.
Danny Jones Show. It is on YouTube.
Yep.
Are you on Spotify as well?
Yeah,
You on
YouTube,
everywhere?
Spotify. It's just at Danny Jones on YouTube.
All right.
And same with Instagram.
It's an awesome show.
That's it, baby.
Lots of fun stuff on there. All right.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.